and I would really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful southern coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hey, hello, Oregon, America, and beyond. I want to thank you all for joining me on today's show. It's one of the classic shows that I've been doing now 6 years now. This would be my 6 years. 6 years that I've been doing the ballot review, and it's something I started. Well, actually, I was thinking about it. Maybe I have gone about 8 years. 8 years. I started with Jim Bice before I was even a co-host, and we would do the ballot review. Me and Jim would sit there, and we'd go through the candidates, and of course, most of the time, me and Jim agreed on everyone on the ballot. And then when we didn't, it was great because then fireworks would go off. Fireworks would be exploding in the hall building at the KWRO radio station. And I'm no longer with that radio station. I'm now doing podcasts, but it was fun for the 2 or 3 years that I was with Jim doing these ballot reviews. And it was fun for the 5 years that I did the ballot review on the radio. And I usually would bring Jim back on with a couple of other people to talk about who they were voting with, because it's always good to hear different opinions on different categories in the election. And so that's why I do this. I do this not only because of that, but because I would say about a dozen people have contacted me in the last week since the ballots have gone out, and they have asked me who to vote for. And of course, I'm always more than happy to tell people who I'm voting for, but I never tell anyone who to vote for. I don't tell you or anyone else who to vote for. It's when you see this show, I'm just telling you who I'm voting for. And I believe that because I'm a selfish bastard and I want my own choices, I think you should have your own choices too. And I hope you are just as selfish as I am about your choices as I am about my choices. And so we're going to go through this. And are there wrong choices? Yeah, there's a lot of wrong choices. And are there are choices which may not be wrong or as bad as others? Yeah, there are some that are mediocre. But then again, there are some that are really good choices. And so we're going to get to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly on the ballot. And I'm going to go through the ballots. I haven't even opened my ballot. I don't know. I got this last week. I got it the same day that I interviewed Commissioner Bob Maine, and I got the ballot the same day I've got my property tax and my property tax bill. And so I'll tell you what, it really puts your priorities right. It really just hones those priorities into and make you focus in on what's really important. And I'll tell you what, when I get my property tax bill the same day I get my ballot, does it affect my vote? Not normally, but if I was thinking of voting for a tax, I might vote for a tax if I wouldn't have gotten that property taxes. Probably not, because I don't vote for any taxes. But getting the tax bill the same time I got the ballot, I thought was very interesting. And so we're going to go over that, but I got to tell you some news stories, just a couple related to voter fraud, because I saw the left stream media, the lame stream media, was putting out these stories that, yes, voter fraud happens, but it's very rare. It's very rare that it happens. And my thought is Is it? Is it very rare? I don't know. Every election cycle, I see cases of voter fraud. After the election cycle, I see cases of voter fraud, and I'm starting to think: is it as rare as they say it is? I really don't know. So, that's something that many of us are trying to answer on these election integrity groups. But I do have a couple of stories that I wanted to share here. And the first one was from the FBI. The FBI put out this notice, and I'm going to put it up on screen. It says joint ODNI, FBI, and CISA statement. And it says today the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, which is an oxymoron, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency released the following statement. So this is a combined statement. It says the IC assesses that Russian actors manufactured and amplified a recent video that falsely depicted an individual ripping up ballots in Pennsylvania, judging from information available to the IC and prior activities of other Russian influencers, actors, including videos and other disinformation activities. Local election officials have already debunked the video's contents. Now, I haven't seen the video myself, but anytime they're calling something disinformation and has been debunked, that automatically sends up red flags. Really? Has it? Has it been debunked? Are we sure about that? Or are we guaranteed that the Russians don't have video of people actually ripping up ballots in Pennsylvania? I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't even see the video, but it says this Russian activity is part of Moscow's broader effort to raise unfounded questions about the integrity of the U.S. election and stoke divisions among Americans, as if they could stoke any more divisions than we are divided today here in America. But as detailed in prior ODNI election updates, in the lead up to the election day and in the weeks and months after, the IC expects Russia to create and release additional media content that seeks to undermine trust in the integrity of the election and divide Americans. Now, okay, I can tell you right now, Americans, I don't know about you, but we're pretty much as divided as you can get. I think the only time this country has ever been more divided was probably at the beginning of the Revolutionary War and during the Civil War. Other than that, I don't know of any other time that Americans have been divided as much as they are divided today. And so this FBI report that came out, this was a statement that was released just a couple of days ago. Of course, I didn't get it until it was October 25th. And of course, I didn't get it until yesterday. Last night, I saw it in my email box. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to have to do a couple of stories on voter fraud before I actually go over my ballot, because yes, I believe there is voter fraud out there. And yes, I certainly believe that that there are people out there who are trying to basically change the outcome of the election. And you can do that with a few minimal amount of votes. If you think about it this way, one of the commissioner races back in, I think it was 2012, was decided with 14 votes. Okay, that's a commissioner's race. Then we had a school board race over a school tax bond, and that was decided over 12 to 14 votes as well. So I don't know. It doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot to see that there is some type of election interference, election fraud going on in our voter rolls. And of course, right here, Pennsylvania officials are investigating fraudulent voter registration applications in Lancaster County. Election workers identified issues with as many as 2,500 forms during the routine review of voter registrations. And this was just a routine review. Who knows what they're going to find out here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. But Pennsylvania officials said Friday they are investigating as many as 2,500 fraudulent voter registration applications in Lancaster County that election workers flagged during routine reviews of the forms. When reviewing the personal information, identification, and signatures listed on the forms, election officials found inaccurate information, signatures that did not match the one they had for the vote on file or the voter on file, and forms seemingly completed by the same individual with the same handwriting, which was pretty interesting that this was going on. And this paragraph right here, after undergoing extensive review of registration applications, at least 60%, dig it, 60% of the forms that have been investigated so far have been determined to be fraudulent so far, Adams said. Some of the applications appear to be legitimate. So there you have a story where 2,500, 60% of 2,500 of the applicants so far have been, well, wrong. They've been fraudulent. And so when people tell you, such as our wonderful, lovely county clerk, Julie Brecky, when she tells you that election fraud does not exist, I assure you it does exist. And it happens quite often. In fact, there's other things that are going on right now that I think people should seriously be worried about, because this is something we were concerned with back during 2020, and that was people tampering with the ballot boxes. And as you can see from this story here, this is from Fox 13. I think Fox 13 is actually a Tampa, Florida station. And it says the ballot box is set on fire in Oregon, Washington, with hundreds of ballots burned. And once again, when you got races that are within a couple of hundred votes of each other, a couple of hundred ballots is important. Now, think about this. You could go in anywhere in Coos County, and you could go to the city of Coos Bay, because the city of Coos Bay is probably the majority of the people in Coos Bay are registered Democrats. It's not a huge margin. Mostly the county is Republican as far as the political parties. The largest group of voters in Coos County is the non-affiliated, but the Republicans I believe, is still the largest party. But in Coos Bay, I don't think that holds true. I think it's mostly Democrats. And if you went to a Democrat area in Coos Bay and you set the ballot box on fire and you destroy those ballots, is there any guarantee that the people who voted are going to be able to vote again? I don't think so. And I think this is going to be something that we should watch out for, because that can happen the opposite side. A leftist could go out there, go to a heavily Republican neighborhood where they're dropping their ballots off in the ballot box, and set those suckers on fire. I mean, it could happen. But here's the brief on this story about the fires in the ballot boxes up in Portland. Of course, it's always in Portland, and in Vancouver, Washington. It says police in Oregon, Washington, and Arizona are investigating ballot box fires started by incendiary devices. Hundreds of ballots were burned in Vancouver, Washington, with 20 more damaged in Phoenix. The incidents have raised election security concerns as investigations continue. And this is something that we have been claiming for a long time, that we need to have these ballot boxes secured, because the chain of custody is completely broken once people drop it in that ballot box. You think about it, the chain of custody is really broken when you put it in your mailbox. Do you know that if you vote and you put it in your mailbox, are you sure that it's your mailman picking that up? If you don't check with the county clerk, are you sure that your ballot's being well counted? Are you sure? I don't know. I know I will be, because normally I go down on election day to the county clerk's office. I'll drop off a couple of people's ballots. People will give me their ballots because I tell them I'm going to be going down to the county clerk's office, and I'll drop off their ballots there. And of course, the first question I ask the lovely young ladies who work at our county clerk's office is, I will ask them, am I a registered, or have I voted already in this election? I am a registered voter, and they can look that up and tell you if you voted already or not. And if I've already voted and I got my ballot in hand, well, we got a problem. We got a problem, NASA, and it's not going to be very good. But and I'll tell you right now, no matter how many problems we have with election integrity, I do not believe that our county clerk, no matter how much I've disagreed with her, no matter how much I argue with her, and the two young ladies who work in the elections office, I do not believe that they are corrupt and that they are manipulating the voter rolls. I don't believe they're doing anything with the ballots. I believe they are on the up and up, and they're doing their best job to make sure that we have accurate elections in Coos County. However, that being said, I do believe that the voter rolls that are not really in the control of the clerk's office. It's controlled by the state. I do believe the voter rolls are being stuffed. I've seen Dr. Frank's diagrams where he shows that there is an overwhelming amount of registered voters compared to what there should be. He has shown that with his graphs, that the counties are that they follow the same pattern when it comes to the voter roll and people who are voting. You can almost, he has predicted the outcomes of several counties based on just one county that he has filled out those charts on. And that's not natural. That's not natural. That's not the way it happens. And he goes back to 1974. And if you look at 1974, where he starts the chart, you can see the counties have different levels on the voter rolls. And by the end of the chart, where he comes to present day, it's almost a straight line where all the counties follow the same pattern, and they shouldn't be following the same pattern. And there's something wrong with this. There's seriously something wrong with this. And it's so bad that Judicial Watch has now filed the lawsuit against Oregon because I think they say, and you'll see it in this video, that 35 of the counties have more people registered to vote than we actually have voters. I don't know about you, but that's a problem for me. That's a huge problem. That means that there's a lot of opportunity for people to create ballots and to get them to the elections office. And as long as they mail them, and they don't really have to mail them by election day, as long as they show up within 7 days after the election, even if they do or do not have a postmark on them, the county clerk's going to take those ballots. And I think we've already proven that a lot of those ballots aren't going to have a postmark on them. So do we really know that they were mailed on election day, or were they mailed Wednesday after election day or Thursday after election day? Because as long as they're getting the ballots, and as long as they're getting the ballot in the envelope and they're receiving it in the mail, well, they can count those things. They can continue to count those things. And I had to switch my cameras here. I'm having camera problems. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to have to figure out what the hell's going on. But I'm having camera problems. There we go. Much better. Let's see if it stays on this time. And so we're going to keep an eye on that. We've got an election integrity group here in Coos County, and we've got lists that were created. Dr. Frank can create lists of what he calls suspected phantom voters, where we're going to go out and we're going to knock on doors of people who are voting from addresses that we think are suspicious, and we're going to find out if they actually live at that address and if they voted. And if they don't, or if they have not voted, and we have found out on the list that they're marked as someone who has voted in this election, which I have heard several times from many different people throughout the years, we're going to find out those phantom voters, and we're going to expose them. We're going to bring them to the county clerk, and hopefully she'll do the right thing and start checking these voter rolls a hell of a lot better than what they have now. And the one way to do it is for one of these election integrity groups to get together. I'm going to play the video that was put out by Tom Fitton, I believe is his name, from Judicial Watch, and I thought this was quite interesting. This should be of concern to all of you in Oregon.
Hey everyone, huge news. Judicial Watch lawsuits led to the cleanup of 4 million dirty names from the voting rolls in just the last 2 years or so. But there's more heavy lifting to be done for cleaner elections. That's why Judicial Watch just sued the state of Oregon to force it to finally clean up its voting rolls, which are a mess. Federal law requires states to take reasonable steps to clean up their voting rolls, and Oregon hasn't been doing that. In fact, our new lawsuit, just filed for and with the Constitution Party of Oregon and Oregon voters, details how 29 of Oregon's 36 counties removed few or no registrations as required by federal election law. Oregon and 35 of its counties had overall registration rates exceeding 100%. Frankly, Oregon has the highest known inactive registration rate of any state in the nation. You know, dirty voting rolls can mean dirty elections. Oregon, as I said, has some of the worst voting rolls in America and needs to clean them up as soon as possible. In the meantime, Judicial Watch has lawsuits to clean up voting rolls in California and in Illinois. Simply put, millions of ineligible names need to be removed from the voter rolls under federal law, and Judicial Watch has been, is, and will be in federal court making it happen.
And I'm so glad that there's people like Tom out there who are working on this issue. It's a serious issue. I mean, if we work our butts off and in the end they're able to cheat our votes away from us anyway, after we've worked through all these campaigns and we find out that the results of the election was a complete lie, well, it's going to cause people to do several different things. It might cause riots in the streets. I know if I find out that I voted for somebody and they lost due to voter fraud, yeah, I'm going to be at the Secretary of State's office, or I'm going to be at my county clerk's office pounding on a door demanding some answers. And she better have some answers, because this is a problem. This is a huge problem. And do you really, if you are ever a member of any of these nonprofit organizations, they don't have a lot of money. Judicial Watch is not a filthy rich organization. So when they enter into these lawsuits, I can guarantee you it's because they truly believe that Oregon has a problem here. And Oregon, well, they have a problem here. I'm going to go to a few comments while I'm here. Says here, voter fraud is rampant. Do not trust the FBI, the ODNI, or any other deep scum controlled agencies whatsoever. They tell you, believe the opposite, just like the fact checkers. And I that's my first response. I read that thing from the FBI and I immediately thought, well, that's probably a bunch of BS. That's probably a total bunch of BS. And anytime they tell you one thing, you're in my position, I'm always tending to lean the other way. Ashley Hicks chimes in here. She says, hello from Roseburg. Hello, Ashley. I'm glad you're watching from Roseburg. You were one of the people who ran against David Brock Smith, and I'm sorry to see that you weren't able to get through the primary, because now I would have been supporting you for that seat. Yeah, that would have been really great if that would have happened. None of your business comes in. He says, why are people so trusting of county clerks? Are they somehow immune from corruption and political bias? No, they're not. Actually, they're not at all. And I'm not trusting of anyone in government. I'm just telling you what I know is that our county clerk, as far as I know, has never cheated in the election. As far as I know. Does that mean she hasn't? No. Does that mean that I don't believe she could? No, I think she could. I think even the two very nice young ladies who worked in the elections office under the clerk, I think they have a potential for cheating. I have no clue. But as far as I know, I have no proof or evidence or anything to tell me that these people are corrupt. And if there's no evidence, if there's no smoke, I'm not going to yell fire. So that's just, Nunya, you're absolutely right, though. People shouldn't trust someone just because they're in a position of authority. Ashley writes here, is there a public record kept of who the poll watchers are? Yes, I do believe they do have a public record that you can get by going down to the county clerk's office. Someone in our group has already asked for those poll watchers. We do have a couple of poll watchers here in Coos County. And it was funny, as soon as we started screaming about election integrity, it was amazing how many Democrats wanted to sign up for being a poll watcher. So now it's kind of battling out. So I don't know who's all on there, but I know we got a couple of people. Let's see. Ashley Hicks says, our city manager has voted from the time she was hired from an address she uses solely for employment purposes, i.e. filed format complaints with Douglas County and the state elections. Yeah, I don't even know why we have those agencies. I've complained about a lot of people too, and it doesn't seem much gets done. Gary Landry, our county clerk, has a nasty attitude. Now that I will give you, she does have a nasty attitude. I don't know why. She's really defensive about what we're saying, and she's not really listening to what we're saying, because we keep telling her, we're not accusing you. the county clerk here in Coos County, we're not accusing you of corruption. We haven't called you a liar, a cheater, anything. We've just had a few problems with you, and your attitude has been, well, it sucks there, Julie. Your attitude sucks, and you really need to do a little bit better to help the other side if you want the other side to be convinced that you are truly earnest in having integrity in your elections. Let's see. Coos County is who I meant. Yeah, I got that, Gary. I don't know why, but yeah, I totally got that. So I wanted to go over the comments before I open the ballot. And there's my ballot. I haven't even opened it up. I don't know. There might even be a surprise in there. Who the hell knows? And so, let me get my trusty envelope opener. Yeah. Let's see here. I didn't want to do this until I had you all on the show because I wanted you to see. I don't even open my ballot until I do one of the ballot review shows. I couldn't do this on the radio. Now I can show you. I'm opening it up. I just opened it up. I pull out my ballot. Oh. See, I already tore my return envelope. It doesn't really matter because I'll go to the county clerk's office anyway. And got to be careful with those letter openers, man. I got a really sharp one. I could probably open a clam with that thing. It says, Dear Coos County voter, the ballot enclosed with this letter is either a reissued or replacement ballot, which it is because I changed my address to my street address, so it is a replacement. Per administrative rule, this ballot has been issued for one of the following reasons. And of course, it gives one of the reasons as a change of address. So I got my ballot, got my trusty ballot here, and I got the full text of the ballot titles, which was nice. They talk about the bonds for constructing and equipping a new library in Coos Bay. North Bend has a sewer rate increase. Coos County is talking on here about the 5-year local option levy. And of course, the offshore wind advisory question. All of that is on here. These state measures are on here. So that's nice they actually put that in there because, the wind turbine question for Coos County wasn't in the voters pamphlet. So if you got a voters pamphlet and you notice that there was no ballot, that it wasn't in the voters pamphlet and you didn't think it was on the ballot, no contraire, mon frere, it is on the ballot. The county didn't get the question to the clerk in time so that we could get it in the voters pamphlet. And we were going to pay for the argument in against the offshore wind turbines and ask people to vote yes to oppose because it's yes means no, no means yes kind of question. And so we weren't able to get that in there because of the county's lateness in getting the question to the clerk. There was a little bit of confusing time periods. That we in Coos County seem to have our own timeline that the clerk uses. And of course, she kept telling us to check out the Secretary of State's office about the timeline, and the Secretary of State goes by a completely different timeline. And that's why you'll notice that Curry County actually has their advisory question on the ballot, but we don't here in Coos County because well, I guess we suck. What can I say? And so good for Curry County, but don't forget to vote yes on that when we get to it. I'll talk to you in a minute about it. The first question on the ballot is United States president and vice president. President and vice president. Let's see what our choices are. Robert F. Kennedy and Nicole Shannon. And of course, that's the We the People Party. And Robert F. Kennedy should have been taken off the ballot. He's now endorsed Donald J. Trump. But of course, the filthy, dirty leftist Democrats here in Oregon, they want to leave Robert Kennedy on the ballot because they're hoping that maybe it will pull some votes from Donald Trump. Let's see. What's the second choice? Cornel West, a progressive. Yeah, Cornel West is, well, he's crazy. Yes, he's a crazy black man. And I don't say that because he's a black man. I say that because he's crazy. And he just happens to be black as well. And Cornel West is a crazy black man. So no, I'm not voting for for Canal West. Then there's the Libertarian Chase Oliver and his running mate Mike Termat. And no, I'm not going to vote for Chase Oliver. There's no way in hell I'll vote for someone. And I have libertarian leaning beliefs. You know, I consider myself an objectivist. I'm not a conservative, libertarian, Democrat, socialist, whatever you want to call it. I'm an objectivist. I try to look at all issues from all sides and try to derive the best answer I can. That's an objectivist. And it's contrary to libertarianism and conservatism because of the fact that there are a lot of conservatives who they believe in certain things that I believe objectively is wrong. One of them, the war on drugs. I've always had a problem with conservatives and that war on drugs. And libertarians, well, you know, they want open borders. I have a huge problem with open borders. So objectively, I can't really call myself a libertarian or conservative. I'm an objectivist. And hopefully I come out more fiscally conservative and more socially liberal. And I don't mean that in liberal as today's definition of liberal. I mean in liberal as in the Jeffersonian liberal type liberal. See, that's the problem. That's why I go with I'm an objectivist. I look at all sides. Let's see. For the Constitution Party is Randall Terry. No, I wouldn't vote for that man. Nope, not interested. Even though he would be better than the first two candidates. And of course, we get to Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance. Well, of course, I'm going to vote for Donald J. Trump. Of course, I'm going to vote for J.D. Vance. Let's go ahead and continue on. You've got Jill Stein and Rudolph Ware. They're Pacific Greenies. You know, I got a friend who is the chair of the Libertarian Party. His name is Matt, and he's going to be voting for Jill Stein. I have no reason why he's going to be voting for that, but Kamala Harris, that's the Democrat candidate. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Well, I'm not freaking crazy, and I'm not going to vote for somebody who was constructive in destroying this country. And I'll tell you what, the actions that have been taken under the Biden-Harris administration will lead to the downfall of this country if we actually have a downfall. I can tell you that right now, that what they've done with the presidency in the last 4 years with her leadership as well, and mind you, she is no different than Joe Biden. You're not going to see anything different. The only ones on here that really offer a difference is Donald J. Trump, Chase Oliver, the Libertarian, and Randall Terry, the Constitution Party. Yeah, they may speak very similar to what conservatives sound like, but the fact is that a Libertarian or a Constitution Party person, well, they're not going to win. They're just not going to win. And I think that Donald J. Trump, in every, you know, if there was a chance Chase Oliver or Randall Terry would win, I still wouldn't vote for him. I'd still vote for Donald J. Trump. And here's why. He's fighting for us. He's fighting for you. He's fighting for me. He's someone out there who truly understands and has fought with the deep state. And I don't think he's perfect. I don't like all of his policies. I think Donald J. Trump has his flaws, but I think he really made a good choice with J.D. Vance. Hopefully Vance doesn't turn out to be another Pence. Pence was such a loser. Pence was he's one of those old school Republicans who just never had the balls to actually be, well, creative to challenge authority. He's part of the authority, so of course he's not going to challenge it. So Pence, thank goodness he's been completely rinsed out of the Donald J. Trump campaign. And Vance, hopefully Vance, I think, has a little bit more cojones than what Pence had. Pence was a ballless wonder, and so that's why I'm going to be voting for Donald J. Trump. So let me put that down here. Yeah, Donald J. Trump. Yeah, you guys, just to make sure you hear that, because I know people out there will keep, oh no, Rob, he's not a Republican. He's not going to vote for Donald J. Yeah, actually I am. There you go. Can you see that? Let's see. Donald J. Trump. Yep, right there. Yep, voted for him. Okay, so now let's go down to U.S. Representative in the 4th District. This was Peter DeFazio's old seat, and I've actually ran the fourth district. One of my first campaigns that I worked on for a candidate was Janie Germond. And Janie Germond was running against Peter DeFazio. She was a beautiful conservative constitutionalist. She was one of those people who would have been fabulous in the Oregon legislature. As a representative, she would have, and actually it's not the Oregon legislature, this is the US representative. It's in the feds, in the federal house. So she would have been up in Washington, D.C., and Janie Germond would have been one of the best people we could ever have working for us in Washington. And of course, she lost in the primary to a gentleman by the name of Art Robinson. Maybe you've heard of that name before. Art Robinson, yes, he ran for the fourth district. I think he ran 3 or 4 times against Peter DeFazio. We were just really pleading with Art, please don't run again. Don't run again. I mean, the DeFazio has sealed that seat in. Let someone else take a chance at it. But the fourth district has been one of those very contested seats over the last couple of elections. But now we've got Val Hoyle in the fourth district, and of course she's running under the Democrats. Dan Balin is a libertarian. The guy stood me up on my show, so I'm not going to vote for anyone who stands me up for my own show. If you can't come on the show after confirming you're going to be on my show, well, you're not getting my vote, no matter how good you are. And which is really sad. Dan might be a really good guy, but how the hell would I know? He stood me up. I'm just one of those old-fashioned guys where if we make a date to be on the show and you're not here, Dan, well, I don't vote for you. He's the libertarian. And in this district race, there was a good chance I was going to support Dan Balin if he would have came on the show, and he would have been just as impressive as the libertarian candidate in the 5th district, and that's Sonia Feintesh. Sonia Feintesh was incredible, way better than Dee Reamer, and way better than the Democrat that they have running against Dee Reamer. And so I might have supported Dan Balin, the libertarian here in the 4th district, the U.S. representative position. But no, Dan, you stood me up. Let's see, Pacific Green, Justin Philippe. No, I won't vote for Pacific Green because, well, I'm not a watermelon, green on the outside, red on the inside. Yeah, that's really what a Pacific Green is all about. That's when you see a Pacific Green, I can tell you, you cut them in half and they'll be all red on the inside, literally. And let's see, of course, the Democrat is Val Hoyle. Well, she's a cheating, corrupt person who, well, of course, anyone in their right mind who's voting for Val Hoyle, then you like the corruption. You like big government. You like the Marxist revolution that's taking place in this country, because Val Hoyle, she stands for all those things, and she's already corrupt. She's already getting that Lamota money. We got to get that Lamota money for old Val Hoyle. I need some of that Lamota money. Yeah, that's that'd be really nice to get some of that Lamota money. But no, Val Hoyle, Democrat. No, I'm not voting for her. And then my last choice is Monique Despain, Republican Constitution Party, and I've been really debating on what to do with this, and that's why I wanted to have Dan Balin, the libertarian candidate, on the show, because I was going to support someone else besides Monique Despain. But Dan, you stood me up. Dan, you screwed me over. You know what I mean? Hey, that's just the kind of guy I am. You stand me up, I'm not going to vote for you. So I'm actually going to vote for Monique Despain. And it's not because I think she's a great candidate. She's a lousy freaking candidate. She's anyone who comes in to a public meeting that's full of people who are her supporters, and then she tells those people, I'm sorry, you can't videotape me because I might say something that you could use against me later. My first question is, well, what were you going to say? What were you going to say that we were going to use against you? And why are you saying that privately to us when you're not saying it out in the public? If you're worried about what you're saying to private groups without being filmed, I'm a little concerned at what you're promising people in bigger arenas. And so Monique Despain, I have a lot of problems with her. I think she's a warmonger. I think she's big on giving all that foreign money to Israel. I don't know if you support Israel or not. I don't support anyone in other countries. I work my butt off, and my family works our butt off to pay for American problems, not Israeli problems. And I don't think we should be paying for Israel. We shouldn't be paying for any country or giving any country anywhere money. And then that gets me to the Ukraine. Monique Despain really was flummoxing on the whole Ukraine thing. It was one of those answers where at the end of it, you're still going, well, was she for or against the war in Ukraine, or at least supporting the war in Ukraine? And so one of those things where if you can't actually answer a question, a yes or no question with a yes or no, I usually won't vote for you. But I'm going to vote for Monique Despain because, well, Dan stood me up, and I want to give at least someone a chance in the 4th district to actually win that seat. So I know people, they'll tell you, oh no, Rob, he's going to vote for the third party candidate. That's just how he rolls. And normally they'd be right in this position, but no, I'm voting for Monica. You see that? Monica Despain. That's who I'm voting for. So let's get back here. Oh, I got to unfold it. No, I don't have to unfold it. Here we go. Secretary of State. Now, before I get to the Secretary of State battle, let me tell you who the people are. It's Natalie Paravicini. I think that's Natalia Paravicini. It's actually a beautiful name if I'm pronouncing it right. Natalia Paravicini. Yes, and then she's the Pacific Green. Of course, she's a progressive. I'm not going to vote for her for the same reasons I wouldn't vote for any Pacific Green. Dennis Lithicum, he's a Republican in the Constitution Party. And then you have Tobias Reed, who's the Democratic Independent Working Families Commie. He's part of the Commie Party. And I'm going to have a story after we go through the ballot. I'm going to have a story about this race and how Tobias Reed, the Democrat, just got endorsed by an Oregon representative, a Republican representative, Kim Wallen from down in Medford. And we're going to talk about that after the ballot review. But I want to get through the ballot review because there's so many of these on here and I don't want to miss anything. I can tell you right now, Dennis Lithicum is the most sincere and honest person in politics. And that's saying quite a bit because there are no really honest and sincere people. Noah Robinson, Art Robinson, Kim Thatcher, Dennis Lithicum, he is the gold standard by which I check all my votes. When I go through legislative reviews and I look at the votes that our legislators make, when Dennis Lithicum was a senator, and he was one of the senators who walked out for us. And Dennis Lithicum, he risked his career, his political career as a senator because he's no longer eligible to run for office because he did walk out for us. And I appreciate that. It's the first time in a long time I've watched our representatives do something for the people. They play a good lip service, but Dennis Lithicum has actually done something for the people, and he was one of those ones who walked out during the 2022 or 2023 now? Geez, it's been so many years. But Dennis Lithicum is a stand-up guy. He's one of those people you would want every representative and every senator to model their votes after. Dennis Lithicum, if I was in the legislature, and like I said, I do this now when I'm going and reviewing all the bills that come out of the legislature, I will look at what Dennis Lithicum vote after I made my decision, and I'll know if I'm right or wrong, just depending on what Lithicum does. If he votes no on something and I'm a yes, I'm going to reread that bill a couple of times and find out why Dennis Lithicum is on the opposite side of a vote that I am checking for in the legislature. And if I was a legislator, if I was a senator or a representative here in Oregon, I would only be voting after looking at Dennis Lithicum's choice, how he's going to be voting on the bills. I think he's one of the most upstanding people there is. And Paravicini, well, she's a Pacific Green. And Tobias Reed, he's a commie. And that's being polite. So I'm going to be voting for Dennis Lithicum. This is exciting because I have never been able to vote for Dennis Lithicum before. And like I said, he is someone I admire. And, I tried to get him on the show and he was all for it until I think someone got to him and said, "Oh, you don't want to go on that Rob Taylor report." No, he actually asks questions and he's obstinate to all Republicans, which is totally untrue. I've had Republican candidates on here before and I give them just as the same fair chance as I give everyone else. But because of that David Brock Smith thing, a lot of people think I'm totally someone who is going to railroad any Republican who comes on my show, and that's just not true. And my history will bear that out. So I'm voting for Dennis Lithicum. There you go. Dennis Lithicum, Secretary of State. Damn, that was easy. State Treasurer. We got Mary King, who's with the Pacific Greenies, Brian Boquist, who's the Republican, and Elizabeth Steiner, who's a Democrat. Yeah. Oh boy. This is one of those where it came really close that I thought, I'm just going to write in nada, none of the above. But I'm actually going to give Brian Boquist a chance. I'm actually going to vote for him as the state treasurer. Not because I have any faith of him doing the right thing. It's just that Elizabeth Steiner and Mary King they're commies. They're people who want to expand government. This is the state treasurer. It's a very important position in the state. It's one of the main offices under, governor and secretary of state. So for Brian Boquist, normally I wouldn't vote for him. If this was any other position and there was anyone else if there was probably a libertarian running for state treasurer, I'd be voting for that libertarian. But I'm actually going to be voting for Brian Boquist here because, he's a Republican. And I'm going to give him a chance here. Oh man, I really, really super filled out that. So there you go. State treasurer, Brian Boquist. Got it. Now we're going to get down to Attorney General. We have Will Lathrop, never met him, asked him to be on the show, never got a reply from him. Okay, he didn't really stand me up, but then he never really got back to me. That's kind of the way the Republicans have been treating me. Then you have Dan Rayfield, who's a Democrat, Working Families Party, another commie bastard. And so there's no way in hell I'd vote for Dan Rayfield, but Will Lathrop, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give him a chance. Like I said, I was a little disappointed that he wouldn't come on the show and he wouldn't do an interview. There were a lot of questions I had for him because he was attorney general. You know what I mean? And you got to ask questions like, the attorney general is one of those ones who are taking these gun measures to court to take away many of our Second Amendment rights. And so one of my questions would be for Will Lathrop, are you going to continue this lawfare against our Second Amendment rights, against the Second Amendment itself, the way the current Attorney General is doing it? And so there's no way I can vote for Dan Rayfield, but I will vote for Will Lathrop. Give him a chance. He hasn't disappointed me so far. That's the nice thing about a lot of these people. You look at a lot of Republicans and they have a voting record. And with that voting record, you can say yay, nay, or otherwise. But I'm going to go ahead and give Will a chance here. I hope he appreciates it. He didn't come on my show, but what the hell? There it is. Will Lathrop. Check it out. And let's see. Legislative office. I'm in District 1. And of course, vote for one. And I've got two choices for my district, Senate district here. I've got Lupe McAllister. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her. I think it's her maiden name, Preciado. I don't know. McAllister, Lupe McAllister. She's a Democrat. And then, of course, we got David Brock Smith, who's a douchebag. So let's see. I've got a choice between a Democrat douchebag or a Republican douchebag. Let's see. Let's see. The Lupe McAllister, I'm sure she supports the big government plans and policy that are coming out of the governor's office. I'm sure she supports all the leftist bills that want to create bigger and higher fees, bigger budgets for these bigger bureaucracies. I'm sure she's one who I'm willing to bet she probably supports the wind turbine project. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to ask her. But there's no way in hell I'm going to vote for her. And there's certainly no way in hell I'm going to vote for David Brock Smith. In fact, I want to take back some of my votes that I voted for him when I thought he was a decent guy. But he's not a decent guy. He's a douchebag. And I think as an objectivist, I have to look at all candidates. And even if the candidate is a Republican and he's challenging a progressive Marxist Democrat, if the Republican is just nearly as bad as the Democrat, why give away your vote? And this is one of those situations where I'm going to write in none of the above or nada. N-O-T-A, nada. None of the above. That's my write in for that. Yeah, I'm not going to. Oh, you know what I was going to do? I'm sorry. I'm going to cross that out. And I'm going to put Todd Vaughn. I may have to go and change this at the clerk's office. I wrote in nada. See, this is what happens. You can make mistakes on your ballot, but that's all right. I'm going to go down to the clerk's office on election day to get this changed. But I'm actually going to write in Todd Vaughn. There you go. I crossed out nada, which is none of the above, and I wrote in Todd Vaughn. Yeah, there's no way in hell he'll win, but he's the one I wanted to vote for anyway. So I was going to write in none of the above because David Brock Smith is a backstabbing traitor. He's part of the Republican Party establishment who wants to capitulate with the leftist Democrats. He was for the wind turbines before he was against the wind turbines. I can prove that. I have proven that. If you don't believe that by this point with all the videos and all the evidence I've shown, well, then you're not too clever, okay? You're just not a very clever person. But David Brock Smith, even when he was doing those listening sessions, I didn't go to any of those listening sessions because, well, it was put on by David Brock Smith. But I heard from many people that he was in favor of it even back then. And it wasn't until he found out that most of his constituency was opposed to the wind turbines, then he came out as against it and lied about it on my radio show, which caused the whole problem of me getting canceled by his actions. And so, I supported Todd Vaughn. I worked for Todd Vaughn. And so I'm going to vote for Todd Vaughn. He was the guy I wanted to vote for. Like I said, Ashley Hicks was on here. And if Ashley Hicks would have won the primary, Todd Vaughn was in the primary, Paul Romero was in the primary, I would have voted for any three of them over David Brock Smith. But unfortunately, I get the choice of David Brock Smith, and I don't have to choose him. This is a free country, and I don't have to choose. And don't let anyone kowtow you into choosing someone that you don't want to pick. That's when my wife does her ballot, she doesn't listen to me and who I'm voting for. She makes her own choices, and I see where there's a lot of families where the mom or the dad gathers up all the ballots and he decides, we're all going to vote the way I want to vote. No, you stand up for your right to vote. Our founding fathers and many people died for this right to vote. They fought for this right to vote, and they were either killed in action or they were wounded in action or they saw action to defend our rights. And that the most important right is the right to vote. So don't let anyone kowtow you and try to convince you to vote for somebody who, is just not a good person. And you want to know how bad David Brock Smith is? Do you know, he says he's against the wind turbines, and I still haven't heard an answer to this question. He took $10,000 from a PAC that is funded by the guy who owns the last company who's still in the bidding or in the auction to bid on the call areas for the wind turbines. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the company. It escapes me right now. But he took $10,000 from the wind turbine company. Why would the wind turbine company give someone who's opposed to the wind turbine project $10,000? Maybe because David Brock Smith is controlled opposition. maybe he's trying to make it look like he's opposed to it, but yet he's trying to put it on the fast track of happening, because this is still can happen. These wind turbines, that can still happen. And we have to be very leery of it, because if you don't know about the history of David Brock Smith, you might be voting for someone who's actually working against your wishes, thinking that you have a great guy as your representative. I thought David Brock Smith was a great guy. I used to be friends with him, but apparently, no, not anymore, because I am not friends with anyone who, goes and attacks me, cancels me off the radio. It's uses his position as a senator to encourage the owner of the radio station to get me canceled. And this is a guy who says he's against wind turbines, but yet has taken $10,000 from the person who owns the last of the 5 wind turbine companies that was in the auction. And there's still a remaining bidder in this auction. So I'm not going to vote for David Brock Smith. I think that there is something nefarious going on with the man. If just half of what I have heard about him is true, well, then there you go. And then you got to consider that his top donor, Thomas Tuttle, allegedly was committing voter fraud. I believe he was truly committing voter fraud, but I have to say allegedly, because it wasn't found to be true in a court of law. And it was deemed to be true by the clerk who was in California. The clerk in California where he was registered to vote, and the clerk where Thomas Tuttle was registered here in Oregon, in Curry County, where he was registered to vote. He was registered as a San Franciscan Democrat. A Democrat, but he was from San Francisco. So David Brock Smith, let's think about this now. David Brock Smith's top donor is a San Francisco Democrat who is also registered for the Independent Party here in Curry County, who has committed allegedly voter fraud, is his top donor. And another person who gave him $10,000 is the guy who owns a wind turbine company. Yeah, if that doesn't stink to high heaven to you, I don't know what does. So that brings me to my next choice, state representative. This is also in the 1st district, and we got Court Boyce and Brett Cecil. Brett Cecil is the Democrat. Brett is one of those big government Democrats. I certainly won't be voting for him. Court Boyce, yeah, I have voted for Court Boyce in the past, and Court Boyce I cannot vote for either, because he took $1,000 from the same guy who owns the wind turbine company. Why? And once again, why is it that a guy who owns a wind turbine company is giving money to someone who is now claiming to be against the wind turbines? That just doesn't make sense, unless it's not true, unless what Court Boyce is telling us is not true. And we know, in court, unlike David, who lied about supporting it years ago, especially when he passed House Bill 3375, he lied about that. But, at least Court Boyce, he has said he was for it, and he's now against it. I remember it was more than a year ago. I think it was in 22. We were fighting the habitat conservation plan by the Department of Forestry that was going to close down a lot of land owned by the state, and they did close down a lot of land by the state. And we were able to see Court Boyce up there in Salem. And the first thing that Court Boyce told us was that, oh yeah, isn't that wind turbine project great? Isn't that great? Look at all the money it's going to bring to ports. The feds are just going to shower us with money. And that's what Court Boyce was saying. And at least he's still not lying about it as far as now, because now he says, oh, well, I'm against it. He has come out and said he's opposed to it. But once again, he took $1,000 from the guy who owns a wind turbine company, one of the last bidders in the auction for the project right off our coast. Do you believe Court Boyce? I don't believe Court Boyce. So I'm actually going to write in nada for that as well. So that's nada for State Representative First District, NOTA. And let me show you guys. Let me show you just before we get in there. Let me show you what I got there. Let's see. Court Boyce, Brett Cecil, neither of them. I'm not voting for neither of them. I'm voting nada. None of the above. So I'm going to put this ballot on hold because I got a special guest coming on, one of my sponsors I haven't talked to in a while, and it's a good thing he has come on because I was needing a fix here, and hopefully he can provide it for me. Hey, man, how you doing?
Hey, good to see you, man. Good to hear you too. And it's been a while. I just got busy, it's just trying to make a living out here in this crazy little world. But we had a lot of fun this last Saturday. We didn't see you there. You were probably a busy man. You got to have a day off now and then, right? But
We're going to do it again this Saturday. If you and Shanna want to join us this Saturday, we're going to have a Trump train this Saturday at noon at the same place.
well, I would do that, except it's my dad's 89th birthday, and we're having a birthday at the Armory, so I won't be
nice.
able to. But yeah, so that's kind of a little priority, I guess. Never know how many more he's got left.
Now, wait a minute. When you say you're having a birthday at the Armory, what exactly is the Armory? I know what one is, but what are you calling an armory?
The National Guard Armory.
They allow events there because he was in the
Yeah.
National Guard or what?
Well, he was in the National Guard, but it doesn't really matter if you want to pay to be there. They have a facility that they rent out to folks for birthdays or anniversaries or weddings or whatever it might be are doing. So, when Trump voted in, we'll have to rent it for the celebration for Trump. I don't know, man. Or meet at the bowling alley and pack that place out. I don't know. We'll do something cool.
We'll
But-
have to do something cool, and that's the only reason I'm doing a Trump train. It's kind of it's not a very formal one, but I thought it's a couple of days before the election. What the hell? We'll get out there and raise some hell ourselves.
Hey, we did. It was great. We have a sickness in this county. It's unbelievable. TDS stuff, that Trump derangement syndrome. I've seen people with funny colored hair. Not that they're all weird, but if your hair is green, you probably maybe have some kind of a mental issue. I don't know, but anyway, we were getting the bird and thumbs down and screaming profanities at us. Of course, I had my Trump face out in my window, and that just grows people out. I thought some people were going to have a hemorrhoid and pass out on the street, man, when I seen Trump there. Fire, you're fired, Kamala, get out of the White House. And oh man, it was great, man. We had so much fun. It was hilarious, but it was the first time we done a Trump train, and it was great. It worked out good. There was a lot of folks, and actually they had that big thing in North Bend there, a Halloween thing with the kids. A lot of people were out, so they all got a little in your face reminder. Hey, you better vote, and hopefully you're doing their vote. I pray they're voting for Trump. I can't make that decision for them, but if you don't, I think you're a friggin' communist.
So here's what I think is going to happen. He got 58% of the vote in 2020 here in Coos County. I believe he's going to hit 60% here in Coos County. I think that there's so many Democrats who are sick of Kamala Harris that we're going to get a few of the Democrats on our side. Just a feeling.
I think you're exactly right, and I think it's going to be more than that. Hopefully, you can't keep believing the crap you've been believing the last 4 years and vote for it again, because my grocery bill, I don't know about yours, is out of control. People are living on credit cards. There's massive credit card defaults all across the nation because people have been living on them for the last 3 or 4 years. They can't make ends meet. It's sad, that's attacking the middle class. And she says she's for all that stuff, and she is so far out there. She doesn't understand nothing. It's just insane. So that lady doesn't have a brain to think, and I don't know who's worse, her or Biden. It's
Be her, because she's actually knows where she's at. That's the unfortunate thing. But she's such a moron. Who knows if she's going to be any more effective than Biden? But it doesn't matter, because the same people who are running the scenes behind Biden will be running the scenes behind Kamala, and they're nefarious people. They're the worst kinds of people because they are the unseen deep state.
right. Yeah, and it just going out this weekend and seeing a few people that are, all like-minded. Of course, if you're down there at the Trump train, everybody's like-minded there, but you meet a lot of people as well as and
How
people
many
like
people
yourself.
showed up? Do you know?
We had at least, I think, I'm going to say 25 or 30 vehicles,
Nice.
maybe more than that. They all had flags and all that stuff. I wasn't totally prepped for that because I wasn't sure what was going on, but we ended up having a whole bunch of cool stuff on the rig, but it was great. And it, it at the meeting there, we were a little bit late probably when it was Bob Main was supposed to show up to speak a little bit, and he did. We were like an hour late from where we were supposed to be. We were just following along, so that's cool. We just traveled all over the place, but
Yeah.
and that makes sense. You were talking about the windmills, and of course, against that, thank goodness. We all should be. I'm all for progress and technology, but not that kind of stuff of what's going to destroy the fishing. It's going to do all kinds of damage, and it's a joke. It's like the big windmills. My little nephew used to work on those things. He says it costs more to repair them and keep them up all the time than the electricity they're producing. So it's like why are they out there? And it's ugly. They're ugly. They're all through Idaho and all there in Eastern
Yeah.
Oregon. When we went over there a few weeks ago, I don't want to see all that crap, but that's all that green new scam deal. That's what Trump calls it. It's a green new scam. And
Well,
it is.
he's very right. I saw him on Joe Rogan. I didn't see him. I heard about him on Joe Rogan, where he had come out against the wind turbines and the green energy deal. And I think him as president putting the brakes on that crap, and then
Right.
drill baby drill. Let's get drilling again. Let's get these petroleum companies. And I feel sorry for the petroleum companies, because you can pass all kinds of laws getting rid of a lot of regulations and allowing them the permits they need to drill. But if there's political insecurity, because who knows what's going to happen 4 years down the road, would
Right.
you want to invest $100 million in a pipeline that in 4 years some Democrat can get back into office and say, "Oh no,
Shut
we're
it down.
putting the brakes on this"?
That's the thing. Anything they do, and then what they can turn the switch off. It's like, this is ridiculous. So, I think hopefully now the Republicans are pretty stacked for maybe the next 10 or 20 years. Who knows? With Vance, he looks like a viable presidential candidate when Trump's done, or, there's a few other ones there that are good. So we still have the advantage on that, because what are they going to run on? Who's going to step up for
Right.
the Democrats? Probably Pocahontas,
Yeah,
Ron
yeah,
White, for president, by golly, that'll get him somewhere. What a
he's
jerk.
like the Walking Dead. The last time I saw him, he's just he could have been on a Halloween display as a zombie himself. I don't know what's keeping that man alive. He's just so thin, so pale, so dead looking. And but that's our leaders for you.
Well, we got brain dead people here in Oregon that keep voting him in. And what do you expect? Brain dead for brain dead. I guess they like that. So they get a little few freebies. We got to cut the freebies out. I know this is why they're, I wouldn't want to work either. They give me all this money and all this stuff. It's just
Right.
insane. And so, as long as we keep paying our taxes, right, then you're going to keep spending it on. It's just not right. So, like Trump said, I'll get rid of the federal income tax. Well, that'd be great. Because maybe things would change there. I don't know. They'll probably think of some other tax that they'll do to us, but
They always do. It's like, if they can't get as a completely obvious tax that's completely overt that you can see, what they do is they try to sneak in taxes as the guise of fees. These are just fees, and we're going to put
right.
fees on the road. We're going to put fees on your gas. And
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
which city do you live in? Are you in North Bend or Coos Bay?
Well, I have a business in Coos Bay, and I did have a residence in North Bend, but I've been using my dad's in Coos Bay because that's where we're having to take care of him at his home. So I'm probably double dipping or something. I don't know, man. Maybe I can vote.
Don't say it. Don't say it. You'll get in trouble.
I know. Nah, yeah, I think I only get one, but it's I don't know. It's amazing what is taking place and with all this. I don't know. It's just I got so much stuff on my mind. It's hard to talk, but we gotta right the ship, people. You got to get out and vote. You got to do it. If you don't complain.
Right.
You get a ballot. think about who you're, just look at the policy, just look at the whatever it is, the bill, and look if it looks common sense. Use your brain. Like Kevin Sorbo was saying, I looked at the policy of Trump and I looked at the policy of Kamala without looking at their names. I just looked at their policies, and it says, well, this is who I'd vote for. Hey, uncover things, it's Trump. Pretty
Right.
obvious, it's totally opposite mindset, because he's all for, if it's not for the government, they want to rule your life. Trump wants freedom. That's what he says, right? So,
Right.
That right there is enough for me. But these people are criminals. We got to get rid of these people. It's a swamp, right? So we got to.
Right.
He knows now a lot more than he did then. So I think hopefully he'll, if we take the House and the Senate, that'll be a great thing. And I've already voted, so hopefully people do get out and vote. All the hunters, that's what Ted Nugent was talking about. It says all these hunters, all these guys that are out there, and they love, the outdoors and the freedom of their guns, but yet they don't vote, or they're not even registered to vote.
Christians are the same way. I can't
Yeah.
believe the percentage of Christians who do not vote. And I'm thinking, how can you complain that Christianity is under attack when you're
Right.
not doing the least you can do? I mean, it's nothing to vote. I'm doing it right here, and it's nothing to sit here. I mean, if I was to do this without, doing it on the screen, I'd already be done. It would have taken me 5 minutes, and boom, bam, bing, I stick it in the
Yeah,
envelope,
done.
and I'm out of here.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And it's a biblical really duty to do this. I mean, everybody's, oh, no, that's not a God thing. No, that's, well, you pay your taxes, right? Well, why don't you vote for someone who's taking them from you or not taking them from you? Have your voice heard, and that's a biblical thing, a standard. I think God would be really upset at me. I claim I'm a Christian. I believe in Christ. So, everybody, it's just a
Right.
name, but if you don't step up and say something, well, that's just insane. I mean, that's
And you're voting for policy. You had the perfect point. I don't vote for candidates because I do or don't like a candidate. I vote for candidates because of the policies that I believe they're going to put forward. And when Christians look at what the left is doing, the policies that they are pushing, the sexualization of children,
right.
the racial hatred towards whites, the racial tensions with minorities, that and just the rainbow flag, the fact that the
Yeah.
rainbow flag used to represent Sunday school, that's
Right.
what I always saw the rainbow flag as, and that's what I always think of when I see the rainbow, is the Sunday school picture, that with Noah's Ark, the rainbow, the dove flying over, and we don't have that anymore, and it's because of policy, and it's because Christians haven't gotten out there and voted, and they should. There is nothing anti-Christian to vote. In fact, like you said, it is Christian to vote.
It is. And this is the thing. If we don't stand up and say them, they're going to pervert everything. Like the rainbow flag. Now you don't think of the rainbow flag like you used to. It used to be a neat thing. They perverted God's design. This is all, again, it's back to the abomination of his design. I don't care. You can say you're a man, you can't become a woman, and vice versa. I'm sorry. Get the tampons out of the boys' bathroom. Sorry, that doesn't work. It's just crazy, and all this pronoun garbage, all this stuff. This insanity has got to stop. It's just not normal. It ain't what we're going to do. We've got to end this whole insane thought process. And, we got a good one here, actually. Seth Dillon, are you still there?
Yes.
It says, madness prevails when sane men say nothing. We can't preserve sanity with silence. And that's a guy from the Babylon Bee, that Seth Dillon. Very true. That's just exactly now. So if you're silent, you were actually contributing to all this garbage that's going on. If you are a Christian or whatever, right believing, I guess you could say, normal common sense person, conservative, you can't just sit back and say nothing, because that would just eat me alive inside, knowing I did nothing. What about my children and grandchildren? They're going to say, well, what did you do? Did you vote? Well, no. Well, why not? I don't want to. I said, when I wanted a Trump train, and I did this and I did that. And, you want to say, well, you stood up for your rights, and that's what we have to. If you don't stand up for your rights, you don't have any.
You don't. And that's what I keep telling people. It's like the guns,
Yep.
Your First Amendment. Try exerting your right. If you're in a position where you think, oh, I just should just shut up, or no, I'm not going to wear an open carry right now. No, if you're even questioning that, then maybe you should be saying something, and maybe you should be doing open carry. Maybe you should be
Right.
pushing those rights, because it's like atrophy. If you don't get
Yep.
off your ass once in a while, you get damn lazy, and your body, it gets used to not doing anything, right?
You absolutely do. That's just, I'm tired of having to tolerate all these people. I'm sick of that crap. What am I tolerating? They're doing something out there that's destroying our society. It has to be stopped. And the perversion of everything. I mean, you can't look at somebody cross-eyed and, oh, that's sexual harassment or some kind of crap. Geez, you gotta, man, if you're that thin-skinned, you just better stay inside your house and never come out. I mean, this is ridiculous, and all the persecution of good believing people. I don't see conservatives out there burning buildings down and houses down and police stations down and going up and doing all this, beating people up on the streets and ganging up on them. No, it's those people, they need to be shipped out of this country immediately.
Yeah.
What do you want to go to? Because this isn't how it works here. We're done. We're done with this crap. I'm sick of the nonsense I mean, they don't even get put in jail for a day. They don't even get
No,
prosecuted.
no.
So if we did that, man, we'd be 6 feet, under all body.
They would have to make an example of us if I got caught doing anything that's being done out in the streets today. They would film it. It would be all over Facebook. It would be the public shaming, and of course the courts would go out of their way to prosecute us, even though people probably committing the same type of crimes are just getting let go, because that's the district attorney isn't really prosecuting a lot of crimes because, well, he doesn't have the manpower to do it. So he has to let a few people go. And we wouldn't be those people, you know what I mean? Because he has to make an example of some of us. I don't know if it's true with the sheriff or the police or the DA here, but I do know it's true other places, and I don't want to push it. So
Yeah. No, it's sad when you have to think, I don't know if I want to do that, I'm in trouble. You shouldn't have to feel that way in this country. I mean, you're not speaking lies. You're not threatening anybody. That's all they do all the time. And just like when we were down there, was a couple there. They were in their van, and they really felt like they almost had to call the police. They were surrounded down there, parked right on the main street there on the main drag in Coos Bay, surrounded by all these. I don't care what they're a bunch of nutcases. The way they act, because you could be for the opposite side, but you don't have to sit there and get in somebody's face that much for no reason and start calling them names and threatening them, feeling like, man, if I get out of my vehicle, what are they going to do to me? Yeah.
wait a minute, that happened at the Trump train this time?
Yep, it did. Yep. Carol and oh geez, I'm terrible on names. Real nice lady. They got a van.
Elmer.
Huh?
Elmer.
Yeah. Yep.
Carol and Elmer, and they've
Yep.
got a red van, and they were at the last, and
Yep.
someone was threatening them, huh?
Yep.
Was it a group of people? How many people?
What it was. Yep. That's what they told us at the thing there. They really felt like, man, do I need to call the police here or what? So I didn't really get a chance to
there
talk
was
to them.
a guy.
What's that?
I will ask Carol. I will ask Carol about that. I'm friends with her, and I will ask her. But there was a guy who was arrested at the Dr. Frank work session in Coquille, who has been coming to our events and yelling and screaming at people. Well, he made the mistake of getting into someone's face while a police officer was there. So the police arrested him. We now have his name. We know where he lives. And we're not going to tolerate that anymore. We're going to we're going to expose him to the rest of society. We're going to let them know that we're not going to tolerate these people at all. I don't go to that's the thing. I don't go to their events and yell at them. Even when they're having one of the freaky drag shows, I don't stand out there yelling and screaming at them. I don't know why they feel a need to come to a Trump train, something as benign as a Trump train, and yell at people. That's mental. That's mental.
Oh, it totally is. I mean, they just, they're living a lie. They can believe all the stuff all they want, but they know deep down that what they're believing isn't going to work, or it's a big lie, or they know what they're doing. They know that they're threatening someone. They can't say, "Oh, well, we weren't threatening." Yeah, you were. You know, you're in somebody's face like that, and you're calling them all kinds of names. Who knows what these people can do? You know, there's a peaceful protest, right? And that was supposed to be. You know, that's fine. You know,
Yeah.
I don't care if you call my names, but you're gonna get in my face and you're spitting in my face. That's assault. I'm sorry. You're gonna find out that's spitting in my face. Is you're gonna be on the ground. Sorry.
Well, now they've ticked me off. We're definitely doing the Trump train this Saturday, and I'm going to have a few of my guys there. And yeah, we're going to make sure I'll put them at the last, and of course we'll be in, strewn throughout the Trump train. I'll put some of my guys out there and let them try to get in their face because Carol and Elmer, they're an elderly couple.
Right.
That's pathetic that you get in the face of an elderly person.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. And it's, I hate to say it, but of course I wasn't there, but when we drove up, we seen them unloading. It was like 5 women got out of the car. It wasn't one guy. It was all women. And generally it was older women. I was surprised, or older, maybe not 90 years old, but they would be up there, gray hair. Okay. So that's the first thing we seen was the Kamala Harris stuff, and down with Trump and all this kind of, I could just see bad things happening. And sure enough, they, I'm sure it was those people there. So
I'm willing to bet they were all Drew Farmer supporters. How much you want to bet? Drew Farmer supporters.
I sure hope that he doesn't get in there, but we'll see what happens. Mr. Maine should be able to persevere, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Well, buddy, I appreciate you. Come down to Tommy Gigs. Give us a call. Give Josh a call. We'll try to help you and do as much as we can. We got a great selection RC. Joe's doing good. It's been slow last month or so, actually a little bit. I think people are really hurting. I really feel for people, when they come in here and they need their rig worked on, and I tell them it's $150 for a muffler. They it's like you shot them in the head. It's like they just don't have the money, and it's really sad. I said, I understand. You got to buy groceries. You got to put a muffler on your eyes. It's a tough deal, and things are not cheap to fix on cars anymore. I bought a bag of groceries the other day. It was $82. I didn't get nothing. It's like, wow. So, people are really struggling. Hopefully, it's going to take a little bit, when Trump gets cranking, but we get him in there. I think things will hopefully change, and it may take a little time, but at least we'll have some more hope.
Yeah.
Instead of hopelessness as far as that goes. And my hope's in Christ, but ultimately he'll be the man that makes the decision. And we're just camping out here. Remember, we're just camping out. The eternity is a lot more fun up there in heaven. So I appreciate everybody being on. God bless America. God bless you, buddy. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for your friendship and everything. And I hope that Ted Nugent hat fits you.
Oh, hey, look. I can't wear it because of my
yeah.
I got that.
You got a big deal going, man. You got a mullet going too, or no?
I'm going to do a mullet again, and wear my Ted Nugent hat, and I'm just reverting back to 1979.
You're the man. Those are great years, bud. Well, thank you for letting me speak, and 888-4660, give us a call, and we're here to help.
All right. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Later.
Take care. All right. That was Tim from Tom and Gigs. I really enjoy talking to him. I miss it when he's not able to come on to the show. And by the way, I don't think I sent a note off to Matt Holman from 3H Tree Service. I don't know if they're playing Where's 3H Tree Service, but I forgot to do that. Maybe, gosh, I should probably have sent him a message. Well, don't worry about it. He's still a sponsor, still a good friend. And if you need your trees taken care of, 3H Tree Service is the way to do it. And let's see, I guess Oregon Outlaw, were you there, Oregon Outlaw? It was a group of leftist idiots talking about the people who are attacking Elmer and Carol. And boy, I'm willing to bet it wouldn't have been the same way if I was there. If it would have been me and a couple of the guys, they wouldn't have been getting in our face. And I'll tell you what, I don't care if you're a woman or not. You get into my face, you're going to have a little bit of a problem. I'm not going to put up with that crap. You might lose a couple of teeth. If you want to talk to me, you want to have a discussion, you do not invade my private space. I'm one of those who I do not like these close talkers. And if you're someone who's going to yell at me in my face, yeah, you might get a punch to the gut. Okay. And I will call the cops on you because I have no problem. I pay taxes and you should get arrested if you're up there disturbing the peace. And I can't believe that a bunch of leftists garbage went up there and did this. Let's see. Oregon Outlaw says, yeah, they were gone by the time we got back. It happened to them while we were on the Trump train. Oh, well, okay. Okay, that explains a lot. And none of your business. Of course, he says leftists have some kind of entitled notion that they have a right to commit crimes against normal people. Yeah, what the hell's the matter with these leftist scumbag? They think that peaceful protesting means you can get up into people's face and threaten them. No, man, that's not the way I've ever done it. I have organized protests with 3,000 people, taking up a whole section of the street as we march down the street during these protests. I've done this with 3,000 people. I've done it in Albuquerque. I've done it here. It's been 30 years I've been doing protests. And when we got to the stoplight, we would stop. We would let cars go by. We would all follow the crosswalk. We would obey the law. And nobody was allowed to get out of line. This was a peaceful protest. And we protested for a lot of different things over the years, at least I have. And it was always the same thing. You were not allowed to get out of line and cause people to get arrested or to make our protests look, well, like we're violent. It blows my mind. The leftists used to be peaceniks. They used to be peaceful. Now, they're not so peaceful. I don't know. Maybe you leftists need to go back to smoking pot or something. I don't know what the hell's the matter with you. Marty Kurt says they were giving me a hard time and I wasn't wearing any identifying materials. Dee Dee, the prolific pathological liar, pointed me out. Oh, well, isn't that special? Dee Dee. Yes, that's Dee Dee Murphy. Of course, she pointed him out because, well, Dee Dee's a dirtbag. She's one of those who basically gets upset because we claim that there's problems with our voter rolls, which I guess we're going to find out because it's going to court. Oregon Outlaw says it was just Carol by herself. Elmer was with us on the train. Okay, so it was Carol by herself. So there were two events. There was the Trump train, and then after the Trump train, they were going to have the round one victory rally for the round one that we won against the turbines. And that was being put on by Diane Rich. I really missed a lot. It's funny. It's like they knew I wasn't going to be there. Very strange. But I wish I would have been there because we haven't had counter protesters in a long time. So yeah, I definitely would have got involved with that. And Marty says we had to move our wind turbine rally down the street because they were blocking the street and the sidewalks. Wow. Well, I'm not planning on having a rally, so they're not going to be able to block any of that. But we will have another Trump train happening at noon. I'll send out another flyer. I will put out the notice on that. I didn't want to give them too much of a heads up, but it looks like I'm going to have to put the word out so everyone else knows. But there is a Trump train. Meet us, same place, right on Front Street, right by the South Brothers, facing north, and we'll go from there. I will talk to some of the people and see which path they took, because I got in my own idea of what path to take, but I don't want to conflict with anyone who we might put in charge or in lead there. And I will line up a map of what we're doing and where we're going so everyone knows. But yeah, this is, wow, I can't believe this was happening and I wasn't here. Let's see, I have a great picture of someone holding a honk if you hate Trump sign. Yeah, love and joy. Yes, they're all about love and joy. Those good old Trump haters who are suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. It's, let's see, sex offender Sal likes to rile things up too. Oh, sex offender Sal was there. Oh yeah, you mean this piece of garbage? Yeah, sex offender Sal. Yes, there's sex offender Sal. He's another These were a bunch of Drew Farmer supporters out there, Drew Farmer supporters who think they can get into your face. So all of you Republicans out there who don't like Bob Maine, but you're going to vote for Drew Farmer, you're really throwing away your vote. You would be better off for voting for neither of them. It'd be best to vote for Bob Maine, not because I think Bob Maine's the optimal candidate. He's not, but he's better by leaps and bounds better than Drew Farmer. I mean, I don't know what I can say about Drew Farmer. I guess I don't have to say much. Let me show you who he's voting for president. Are you voting for president?
Yeah, that one, I am not happy with how it turned out for the candidates. I am probably going to write in Buttigieg because
Yeah, he's going to write in Buttigieg. That's who Drew Farmer is voting for. He might as well be voting for Sal right here for president. Sal Carruthers for president. That's because Buttigieg ain't really much difference than Sal Carruthers. They're the same type of deviant. And so if this is what you want, then that's what you're going to get. If you're one of those Republicans who have turned your back on a someone who considers himself a conservative in the commissioner's position, then this is the type of people you're going to get. People who show up to Trump trains with their honk if you hate Trump signs. Yeah. And they're going to get in your face and they're going to yell and scream. And I can tell you right now, that's going to be a problem. And Drew Farmer voting for Buttigieg, wow, I don't know, but right there, warning, sex offender Sal. That's one of Drew's biggest fans, and so yeah, I don't know, pretty disgusting there. Let's see, where was I on the ballot? Got way off the track. I appreciate Tim from Tom and Gigs coming on here. Really set things clear. Yeah, really set things really clear. So the next ones that I have are for the judges. It's a nonpartisan office, position 1, position 7, position 4. None of them are, have challengers. It's just one person, the incumbent. So you got judges who are running for the same position that they have. And so then I go to the nonpartisan office, which is Coos County Commissioner. And we were just talking about the Coos County Commissioner. So do I want Robert Maine or do I want Drew Farmer? Bob Maine, let's see. Bob Maine, I've got a few problems with him, but the guy is still looking at other ways of trying to fund the county. He's looking at ways of trying to manipulate the money through the health and wellness so that it can be used for projects that the county is now paying for through the general fund, and that money can be used for something else in the general fund. He's looking for a way to get the federal government to allow us to manage the federal land we are supposed to be getting money from, such as the Coos Bay Wagon Road, such as the ONC lands. And he's considering a lawsuit such as they did in Apache County, Arizona, where the county was successful and got the management over some federal land and now is making a lot of money off of that move. I think that would be great. Bob Maine doing that. Drew Farmer, he wants to put up pride flags everywhere, from what I understand. He's against anyone who's a Christian because they have a Christian month in Coos Bay, but you never seen him stand up for that. No, what has he stood up for? He's stood up for Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a big day for him. Pride Month is a big day for him. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion is a big thing for him. And once again, you can see some of his supporters. There's Sal Carruthers, the sex offender. Yes, that's one of his supporters there. And, one of his other supporters is a leftist group that was organized years ago, one of the BLM, the Black Lives Matter, the local Black Lives Matter. I can play you some of the things they've said. Let me go ahead and play that.
So things that we have accomplished today. One, we show the city that we can show up and show out without having to destroy shit, even though we had every intent. Please understand, we were ready 100% to riot today. We were going to fuck up your town, but we didn't because we took the opportunity to educate you and take a different route. However, stop fucking testing us like we don't live this life. Like, we aren't about that shit and that we're not mad. Like, we are fucking mad and we're tired of this bullshit. Oh, please tell me you coming his bitch ass outside.
And that right there was a bunch of BLM protesters who were protesting the city council because they wanted to go further on this inclusionary resolution that was nothing but a race baiting, virtue signaling document. All it did was create division between people of different ethnicities. And that BLM group, which are probably Drew Farmer supporters, they love Drew Farmer because he's all about the pride flag. He's all about Juneteenth. He's all about, acknowledging all of our differences, except for people who are white or Christian, because, well, we're oppressors. And so, we need to be taken care of. In fact, he believes that because during the flag policy debate, we wanted to fly the Christian flag, and one of the counselors said, oh no, the Christian flag was offensive. Now remember, they're pushing the pride flag, but to the counselors of Coos Bay, the Christian flag was the one that's offensive. And here's what Drew Farmer said about the Gadsden flag.
Can I toss a piece in real quick? Yes. Sorry. The Gadsden flag, that one, it was mentioned as being used by the Navy. That was replaced with the first naval jack. It looks similar. Ran from 75 to 76, and then through the time I served, but it started again in 2002 and ran through 2019. It was discontinued because a bunch of boils on the backside of society decided to start using it for racist purposes. That is where that went. That's all I had.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. We took public comment, so
I'm not saying people that support it do. That's why it stopped usage in the Navy.
Right. Okay.
Can I toss a piece in real quick?
Yes.
Sorry.
So that was Drew Farmer, and he was talking about the policy on the pride flag, the flag policy for the city of Coos Bay, which is still living in limbo. Because instead of following the Supreme Court, which was a unanimous decision, they didn't get rid of the law. They just put it in limbo until they could actually enact it. So that tells you where the city of Coos Bay is as far as treating people equal. They're not about equality. They're about equity, where they put one group over another group because they think there is some type of oppression from one group to another, which is a bunch of nonsense. We're all born equal in this country, and we all face adversity. We all have opportunity, and it's ridiculous to try to quantify those things in every individual's life. I mean, there are plenty of black people who have lived in golden lives, and there are plenty of black people who've had lousy lives. And that's the same with any other ethnicity out there. And it's the same with anyone who is transgender or who is a lesbian, gay, bisexual. And he kept saying that he wanted to do it because of the high suicide rate for people in the LGBT community. And the reason that they have a high suicide rate isn't because we don't have an inclusionary resolution. It isn't because we're not hanging pride flags everywhere. It's because they have a mental condition. They're mentally unstable. And because they're mentally unstable, they have a propensity to people in their group to commit suicide. That's just a fact. People, especially transgender people, they already hate themselves. They obviously hate themselves because you're born a male, you think you're a female, and you actually want to mutilate your own body to become something that you are not because you hate what you are. And if you hate what you are so much and you're willing to mutilate yourself to become something else, can you imagine what they want to do with you? Can you imagine that? And that's what's sitting. That's how Drew Farmer ruled or made his decisions and enacted policies when he was on the Coos Bay City Council. So you can look at the people who are his supporters. Maybe I got here. This is the type of people that I see supporting Drew Farmer.
Some of your political beliefs.
Kill everyone now. Condone first-degree murder. Advocate cannibalism. Eat shit. Filth are my politics. Filth is my life. Take whatever you like.
Yes.
So there you go. That's just an example of an atypical Drew Farmer supporter. And I myself, when I'm asked the question, do you want someone who is somewhat sane and supports sane, rational policies, or do I want someone who is racially offensive, who is sexually offensive, who doesn't really give a damn about the rights of Christians, who doesn't give a damn about the rights of white heterosexuals because he wants to create policies that put people of different sexual orientations, people of different ethnicities over regular normal people, then I've got a problem with that. I'm not for racism. I'm not for policies that divide the people. And I don't know of any policy that Bob Maine ever supported that nearly started a riot. I want you to think about that. Drew Farmer supported an initiative resolution. Actually, it wasn't an initiative. An inclusionary resolution. Drew Farmer supported an inclusionary resolution which nearly caused a riot. Do you want someone who has created policy that has nearly caused violence in the city of Coos Bay running the county of Coos? Coos County. Do you want him running Coos County? Would you want him sitting in that position on the board of commissioners making those decisions when his decisions on the city of Coos Bay nearly caused a riot? I don't know. It's pretty simple for me. I'm voting for Bob Maine, Robert Bob Maine. I hope many of you join me. I sincerely hope he wins. Hopefully we'll be able to, Drew Farmer, he's easy to talk to. He's easy to communicate with, but the fact is that we don't normally agree. So what is it good to have someone who's really nice and sensitive if they still don't give a damn what you think because you don't belong to the right club? You don't belong to the LGBTQ club, so Drew doesn't care about you. You don't belong to some minority, so Drew doesn't care about you. No, I want someone like Bob Maine, who I truly, with Bob, with all his faults, I don't think he looks at anyone and makes a decision based on someone's sexuality or based on their ethnicity. And I'm talking about a decision as far as a decision that he would make as a county commissioner. His personal life, I don't give a damn about. Drew Farmer's personal life, don't give a damn about. But that's where I'm at with that. Coos County Treasurer Megan Sims is the only one running. I'm going to go ahead and give Megan a vote. She's actually not that bad. I will vote for Megan. Now, I live in the city of Bandon. Many of you live in the city of Coos Bay or the city of North Bend, and you're going to have to make those choices yourself because I don't live there. So I live in the city of Bandon, and I got the choice of mayor, Angela Cardis or Mary Shamhorn. And Angela Cardis, I interviewed her for a show a couple of weeks ago. It was a location interview. We were on location. We were at the Bandon Cranberry Fest. And I went up to Angela Cardis, and I asked her what she thought about the wind turbines. And she said, "Oh, I don't know. What are you talking about? What do you mean wind turbines? Well, what do you think?" And she had no opinion on the wind turbines. She wouldn't say she was for, she wouldn't say she was against. And I think she knew what the issue was about. She just didn't want to admit it. So that in itself really threw up red flags. I don't know her politics. I know she's not a conservative, but she is a business owner, and that gave her 1 point over the current mayor, Mary Shamhorn. And Mary, I can never vote for Mary Shamhorn. The reason I can never vote for Mary Shamhorn is that while she was mayor, during one of her tenures, she violated the city charter. I sued the city. I proved it in court that her and the city councilors created a fake emergency and then violated the county charter by increasing our wastewater rates. And I'll tell you right now, I'm a citizen of a county, of a city, of the state, of the nation, and you violate my constitutional rights, you violate my charter rights based on your city charter, our city charter, I'm never going to vote for you. So that's one of those where I'm going to write in none of the above. Yep. So nada for the mayor of Bandon. I don't like any of these women. And it's not because they're women. It's because I haven't heard anything from Cardis that makes me want to vote for her. And then we get to the city council. City councilor for Bandon, I've got Archie Garrett, Jerry Prochetta, Gerald Slothauer, Shauna Schmier. I don't know how you pronounce that last name. Claudine Hundhausen. And so I really don't know much about any of these except Archie Garrett. And I wasn't happy with Archie's answer. I asked him about the issues, and he says, I'm not running on issues. I'm running because they need new blood in the city council. And I'm thinking, yeah, they do, but is it the right kind of person that you want to put in a city council position? And I do like Archie. I'm going to vote for Archie, and I'm going to give him a chance. But I'll be honest with you, the other four, I'm not voting for either of them. Any of them. Nope. Especially Gerald Slothauer. I know he's a big Melissa Cribbins, Drew Farmer fan, so I'm certainly not going to vote for him. So I'm going to write in. I'm not going to write in. I'm going to circle Archie Garrett. I'm going to color in that circle, and I'm going to leave the others blank. I'm really not interested in any of the others that are running for the city of Bandon. I wish I would have known more about Shauna Schmurrer. I don't know how you pronounce that. Interesting name. Let's see. Coos Soil and Water District. Yeah, there's no candidates filed in Zone 3 and Zone 4. So, yeah, that's I'll write in nada. And the reason I write in nada for people where there are no candidates is because I don't want someone to write in something that I don't want. And so that's, if there's no candidate there, I want to make sure no one can write it in and use my ballot for nefarious reasons. So I'm writing in nada, none of the above. Adela Villers for District Zone 1. Adela Villers, she's running unopposed. Let's see. I don't know much about Adela. I'm just going to write in nada on that one as well. I mean, she's running unopposed. I think she'll win. I think most people will vote for her just because she's the only one on the ballot. So I'm not going to give her a vote. I'm going to write in none of the above. So that was none of the above right there for the water district. Yeah, and as you can see, I'll fill in these later. The judges, I'm going to write in none of the above on them either because they're not. None of them are contested. So now I flip over to Coos Soil and Water Director Zone 5. No candidate filed, so we're going to write in nada there, which is sad. If we would have been a little more organized, we could have found a good candidate for this position because it's probably not even that much of a job to be on the Coos Soil and Water. What do you got to vote for? Really? I mean, I don't know how much money is in that district, the Coos Soil and Water Conservation District. Yeah, I don't know. I need to learn more about that. I know what they're the organization that we had to meet with a couple of times when we were talking about the Bandon Marsh, but I don't know. I wish I would have known more about it, but I don't, and that's completely my fault. So now let's go to the state measures, and I've already done all these in the pamphlet. This is real easy. 115 amends the Constitution, authorize impeachment of statewide elected officials by Oregon legislature with 2/3 vote by House, establishes process. That's a hard no for me. And why is it a no? Because I don't want to give the government any more authority. Aren't you tired of impeachment? Look what they did to our president. And being that we're in Oregon, do you really think that a Republican's going to be able to impeach a Democrat? Nah, that ain't going to happen. The only reason the Democrats want this authority in the Constitution is so that they can impeach a Republican if a Republican wins a statewide office. And you'll see that happen if they get this authority. If Measure 115 passes and we get a Republican in any statewide office, within 6 months, they'll be impeaching that person. You watch. This is why they want the authority. I think government has too much authority. I think government has way too much authority.
You should have respected my authority.
Yep, that's government. They're like Cartman on South Park. They think they got way too much authority, and we should.
You should have respected my authority.
Cartman, I heard you the first time. Yeah, but Measure 116 amends the Constitution, establishes Independent Public Service Compensation Commission to determine salaries for specified officials, eliminates legislative authority to set such salaries. And I told you this is one of those tricks that the legislature is trying to pull on the people. Right here, and let me give you the name of this commission. It's called the Independent Public Service Compensation Commission. That name alone should send up flags, red flags. Independent? Well, they're not independent. Who appoints these people? Someone from the government that's now serving has to appoint those people. Who knows? It may be the legislature that has to appoint them. And the reason the legislature wants to appoint them instead of setting their own salaries, because they know if they raise or increase their own salaries, their constituents in their districts are going to be mad at them. So what do? Well, they create this Independent Public Service Compensation Commission. Then they put all their buddies on this commission, and then all their buddies go, well, now we can give them all raises. We'll give these legislators all kinds of raises. And of course, the voters will go, well, why'd you guys give yourself raises? And the legislators will go, well, we didn't give ourselves raises. No, it was the people on the Independent Public Service Compensation Commission. Yes, the people from the Independent Public Service Compensation Commission were the ones who gave us the raises. We didn't take raises. We didn't take raises from nobody. No, it's from an independent commission. And of course it's independent because it's right there in the name. Yeah, they're lying to you, okay? These are lying bastards. They're lying bastards in the legislatures. The Republicans and Democrats alike, most of them, are lying to you. And so, of course, no on Measure 116. No on 116. There you go. That was pretty damn easy. Let's see. Measure 117 gives voters option to rank candidates in order of preference. Candidates receiving majority of votes in final round wins. Well, why do I need a final round when we can just do this all in one shot? And the person who gets the most votes wins. That's, is that just too simple for the Democrats? Yeah. And how many people are going to misread how the directions on how to do ranked choice voting? And I wonder how many of them are going to misvote. And I wonder how many people who are going to think it's really complicated and not vote at all. I would say that's a hard no for me. No, ranked choice. Rank is in the name of the measure. If it's rank, I don't want to vote for it. That means it's already went bad. It's rank. And let's see, Measure 118 increases highest corporate minimum taxes, distributes revenue to eligible individuals, state replaces reduced federal benefits. And once again, this is a tax. You taxed enough already? I know people go, whoa, Rob, you're going to tax corporations, man. You're going to tax corporations. Well, I got news for you. Corporations, whatever they pay in taxes, that gets passed on to you. So if you think that you can get out of paying for increased taxes because the tax you vote for is going to be on a corporation, well, you're stupid, because the corporations pass that on. It's like property taxes. People who rent, they always think, well, I don't pay property taxes. Yeah, you do. I figured the property taxes in the rent that I charge my renters. And when my property tax goes up, their rent goes up. It's a pretty simple formula. Shit rolls downhill, and I'm not voting for taxes any more than I would vote for shit. And that's what taxes are. I often say they might as well call taxes herpes. And when you hear the word taxes, I want you to think of the word herpes. And when they ask you, do you pay enough in herpes? Yeah, I pay enough in herpes. I don't want any of that. Do you want more herpes? Do you want us to increase herpes? No, I don't want you to increase the herpes. Well, that's taxes. So that's what in your mind, when you hear the word taxes, you put the word herpes in there. And think about that. Do you want to vote for more herpes? No, I don't want to vote for more herpes. So measure 118, that's a hard no for me. All right. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 no's. Last one, measure 119, cannabis retailers, processors must remain neutral regarding communications to their employees from labor organizations. And it puts penalties on these businesses if they violate this measure. And you know what? I think that cannabis dispensaries, the owners of these dispensaries, they have every right to their First Amendment rights too. So this, to me, this whole measure is a violation of the rights of the cannabis retailers, the people who own dispensaries, and I'm voting no. And just so we got everything clear here, this show is sponsored by Herbal Choices Dispensary. And even if I wasn't sponsored by Herbal Choices Dispensary, this would still be a hard no for me. So that has nothing to do with my vote. What has to do with my vote is how it's going to affect me. And I mean, someday I may want to buy a marijuana or cannabis dispensary. And I mean, I want to be able to speak out against any unionization of my employees. I remember in the optical business when they tried to come in and unionize us. Yeah, they didn't realize that some of the guys in the lab actually they used to be ex-Bandito members, and they took these big union guys from back east outside, and they showed them the desert. And I remember the one Bandito. He says, "I want you to see that desert." Says, a lot of people get lost in that desert every year. You have a nice ride home, eh? ASA. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And those union thugs from back east, they looked at that Bandito, they got into their car, and you'd never seen so many people leave so fast. I mean, they were ready to get out of Dodge. They didn't want to end up disappearing all of a sudden in the desert, and that's all it would have been. It would have, it would have been one of those stories where another bunch of union bosses just ended up disappearing. Don't know where. Don't ask the Banditos. Don't ask, don't tell. But a lot of people get lost in that desert. And I imagine if they would have tried to unionize the optical business, the Banditos would have made sure they would have got lost. Interesting story. I just thought that's a true story, by the way. That's I was working for an optical wholesaler, and I was in management, so it wouldn't affect me, but it was great when those Banditos employees of the optical business took those union guys out back. It was just desserts. I wish I could have filmed it. Those Banditos standing around those two union guys and basically explaining to them, "Yeah, you're going to come up missing, pal. That's what's going to happen to you. You start unionizing." Well, this is the same type of crap that the union is trying to pull on the cannabis retailers. And so that's a hard no for me. County measures. 6217, 5-year local option levy to help fund the jail operations. Yeah, I got news for you. You can give all the money you want to the county for the jail, and you're still going to have the same problems with crime that's happening in the streets now. And it's not a problem of not enough jail beds, because they keep locking people up. And the state has passed laws where they have no cash bail, and they have to keep releasing people. It's a revolving door at the county jail. It's a revolving door. Nobody stays there for very long. I know, I think when I talked to Bob last week, when I did the interview with Bob, the Thursday before, I had called the jail and I asked how many people were being held in custody. And the person who answered the phone said there were 75 inmates. So that means if they cut the jail down to 48, they would have had to release the excess. That would have been 27 inmates. And they were going to release them anyway. And I got even worse news. Some of them were not going to get public defenders. And if they didn't get public defenders within a certain period of time, which is like 7 days, I believe it is, if they don't get public defenders to defend them, then their charges are dropped. And it's not anything that's under the authority of the DA or the sheriff to change. This has to be changed at the legislature. Legislators, our legislators, are not doing what they should be doing in Salem. And it's because counties like Multnomah, cities like Salem and Eugene, the people there are voting for Democrats whose only goal is to destroy the government of this country. And the number one way of doing that is destroying our justice system. So we have a justice system that's been sabotaged. And it does not matter how much money you give to the justice system, it's just as sabotaged today as it would be if this levy was to pass. And I'm tired of paying for taxes. Are you tired of paying for taxes? I'm sick and tired of hearing politicians go, well, Rob, it's just a small amount. It's just a small increment. I've been hearing that for years. And after the many years I've been hearing that, 30, 40 years, now that small increment is a huge swath of our income. We pay a lot of money in property taxes, income taxes. I mean, they got taxes for everything up the wazoo. I'm done. I'm done paying taxes. And therefore, I'm voting no. And I hope you vote no too. And by the way, I know that if we vote no and this levy doesn't pass, they're going to have to cut the county jail down to 48 beds. They're going to have to put several deputies on leave. So we're probably going to lose night patrol, possibly, potentially. And they're going to have to find other cuts to make in the county. And you know what I say? Good. We need to do that for every level of government. I wish I could do this for the cities. I wish I could do this for the state. And I wish I could do this for a nation that's $36 trillion in debt. $36 trillion. Your great, great, great grandchildren are going to have to pay back that debt. And you know who to blame? We, the people. We voted for this crap. I'm done voting for more taxes. And when you vote for taxes, what you're really saying is that you want the government to go into your neighbor's house, steal money from your neighbor to pay for whatever they're asking you to pay for. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right that we should be allowed in this country to vote to steal from our neighbors. That's not moral. That's not right. We pay way too damn much in taxes. And we pay taxes on things we shouldn't pay taxes on. You buy a house. You buy that house. You spend 30 years paying off that house to the bank. You pay all that interest, and then you get a tax bill at the end of the year that's almost as much as if you were renting the property itself. You never really own property. The government forces you, and they do force you, because if you don't pay the property taxes, they'll come and take that property and kick your ass off. I've seen it happen. I know there are people out there who say, oh no, Rob, we don't pay property taxes, and they haven't done nothing. They haven't done nothing yet, because I've seen them do things to other people out there who have not paid their property taxes. And they will seize your property, and they will kick your ass out in the street, and they don't give a damn about it. It's funny how they love the constituents until we stop paying for their good time fun. And I'm tired of it. And I don't want to hear anyone say, oh, you know, the county's got extra money. They got special secret funds. They don't have special secret funds. All they're going to be able to do to pay for the shortfall in their budget next year is they're going to have to cut the patrols, and they're going to have to cut down from the 2 pods to the 1 pod so they can only hold 48 instead of 96. And I say cut away. People who own businesses, we have to cut all the time. We don't have a secret back room where we got a whole bunch of stash cash. We don't have any stashed cash in our secret room that we can go back there and grab a pile of money and pay a little bit more in taxes. No, when we find ourselves in a financial crunch, private business has to cut employees. We have to cut many different areas of our business. Now, we don't want to cut, but we have to, because unlike the government, we don't get to print money. So I'm tired of giving the government money. And so on this 5-year local option tax, I'm voting no. And you know, another reason I'm voting no is, what if True Farmer wins? You want to give Drew Farmer any more money? He'll just use it to put pride flags up everywhere. So that's why I'm voting on the county measure. I'm voting a no. That's a hard no. Where is that? There it is. 6217. No. All right. Now the one I've been waiting for, the one I've been fighting for, the 6219 advisory vote on whether to oppose offshore wind projects. Should Coos County work to oppose offshore wind energy projects in the Coos Bay wind energy area? And well, yeah, you should oppose that because it's a stupid freaking idea. It's more of that green energy nonsense that they're trying to push upon us. I know people out there, they're worried about climate change, and climate change does exist. The question is how much influence man has over the climate. And I would argue that just the rotation of the sun, the solar flares, the orbit of the earth has more to do with climate change than anything we can do as man down here on the planet. So this wind energy project, it's a bad idea. It's bad for the environment. It's not efficient. The wind turbines are not going to produce the energy that they're promising it will produce. Imagine that, the government making a promise that they'll never be able to keep. Well, this is it. So I'm going to vote yes. Yes, the county should oppose the work for the offshore wind energy projects in the Coos Bay wind energy area. So that's the only yes that I got going for me on any of the measures. It was all a no. And that looks like the end of my ballot. Now, I do know there were a couple other things in other cities. I do know that the city of Coos Bay, they had a tax levy for the library. And I don't know about you. I don't want to pay the library. Let me put this up here. Yeah, that right there is the library. That lovely lady right there is showing you how the library here in, actually not here in Bandon, but the library in Coos Bay is put up tampon dispensers. Not only did they put them in the women's bathroom, but they put them in the men's bathroom. This is where your tax money is going. And I can tell you right now, I don't normally go to the library. I do have to admit, I took Dr. Frank over to the Bandon Library and we used one of their conference rooms, but hell, I pay my taxes. I have every right to do that. But I could live without it. I could have interviewed him in the middle of the street. It's not a big deal. This is Bandon. We could have found a dozen other places to go. I just happened to choose the library because it was the most convenient. Do I want to pay more taxes to the library? Hell no. And I hope you people in Coos Bay vote against this. And by the way, if you don't think that this ended up in the men's bathroom, there's a picture I took in the men's restroom at the Coos Bay Library. That right there is the tampon dispenser in the men's restroom. If you notice, it's empty. It's completely empty. I guess men who are suffering from period poverty, well, I guess they don't get the luxury, the privilege of having tampons provided for them because there were no tampons available. And there were a lot of women who were complaining that they have to pay for it in the women's restroom. Now, I couldn't go into the women's restroom because I identify as a man, probably always will. And so I couldn't go into the women's restroom. So I don't know if they're actually paying for the tampons in the women's restroom, but here it is in the men's restroom. It was an empty container, and which is sad because I could have used a few of those tampons. I mean, they are great for throwing at pool parties. You throw them in the pool, they expand. It's funny. Everyone gets a good chuckle, ha ha ha, and who cares? It's just your tax dollars at work. It's just your hard-earned tax dollars, and that's what they're doing with it. They're putting more and more of your hard-earned money into damn contraptions like this. This right here is why I won't vote for a tax increase ever. I can tell you right now, they're so far in debt at every level in the government. I'm tired of funding this crap. And, another example of it is the lady who just recently got the guy in charge of the Oregon Department of Forestry. She got him fired because he was hiring based on merit and not based on gender identity. Oh my gosh. Can you believe that? And so They put him. They didn't fire him. They put him on leave. But this DEI trainer, she moved on to another company or another agency, and she makes $192,000 a year. She looks like Miss Piggy. And I cannot believe that we're paying somebody almost 200 grand a year to teach this DEI crap. Because what do you get with this DEI crap? Well, you get tampon dispensers in the men's restroom at the at the Coos Bay Library. And I'm going to go over to the Bandon Library, and I'm going to go in the restroom and see if they have it there. I'm also going to see if they have it in the county as well, because the county has restrooms, and I'm going to see if they have put tampons in the county restrooms. And I'll tell you what, I'll be very disappointed if that's the case. I go to the county, I go to the men's restroom, and I see a tampon dispenser. I'm going to flip my lid. I'm going to go yelling at the commissioners, and they deserve to be yelled at if they allowed this to happen. And it's part of that menstrual dignity law that was passed a couple of years back by, I think it was Kate Brown. I think it was Kate Brown who passed that Menstrual Dignity Act, which really, once again, is an oxymoron, because is there any dignity in having your neighbor who's barely can afford food, who can barely afford to heat their house, and the government, you're asking the government to force these people to pay for your tampons? I mean, really? Really? Is that dignity? Is that menstrual dignity? That, and as a man, I don't expect the government to pay for anything of mine. I don't want them to pay for anything of mine. And by the way, I don't blame anyone who gets on a government program. If you're on disability, you're on Medicare, you're on Social Security, you're on any government program, you have a right to be on that government program, as long as you're one of the people who knows that the program is wrong and that there's a better way of doing it. My problem are the people who like these government programs, who like having these tampon dispensers in the men's bathroom, and vote for it, and vote for the government to take more of your tax dollars to do this. It's nuts. It's insane. And we got to stop this. We got to stop this now, because we're going to go broke. We're going to go broke with these crazy ideas. And that's just a fact. One of the things I did want to talk about before I got out of here was, this was a very interesting story. This right here is a picture of Kim Wallen. She's the state representative, and she just endorsed Tobias Reed. Now, she's Kim Wallen. She is from the, let's see, I'll share this. There it is. You can see right there that Representative Kim Wallen, she's a Republican from District 6 in Medford. And you would think that someone from Medford would be someone who would have a hard time in endorsing a commie pig like Tobias Reed. But she did. She has endorsed him. And I was telling people, why would you vote for her? If you live in Medford, don't vote for her. But there were people out there who actually they're defending her. They're defending this Republican. And this is my problem with the Republican Party, especially the Republican hacks who are in the establishment. And if I go on a little bit further, here is Reagan Knopp. If you don't know who Reagan Knopp is, he's the son of Tim Knopp, the backstabbing Republican who was a traitor to all the Republicans who walked out in 2022. When all those Republicans walked out, and Tim Knopp came back in to give a quorum to the Democrats, well, I guess his son is just like he is, a backstabbing traitor. And if it says right there, it says it talks about Kim Wallen endorsing this guy Tobias Reed, and he says, "Oh, this is the right choice. This is a smart choice. This is the only choice." He's supporting Kim Wallen's endorsement of Tobias Reed. Now, if you don't know who Reagan Knopp is, Reagan Knopp runs the online news source Oregon Catalyst. I'm sure all of you've heard Oregon Catalyst. Lars Larson writes for him. Lars Larson's, I'll tell you what, sometimes he's one of those who's a little bit on the fence about things. He's a little bit shifty. You have to watch Lars as well. But Reagan Knope, I'll tell you what, this guy, he created a fake gun group in the last election because Republicans, who are a bunch of turncoats, a bunch of squishy Republicans, couldn't get any gun group to endorse him. Well, Reagan Knope creates his own gun group. I forget the name of that gun group, but he creates his own gun group and he gives out phony endorsements to these Republican candidates. So these Republican candidates say, oh, I'm endorsed by a great gun group, whatever the name of that gun group was. And they could put that on their resume. They could put that in the voters pamphlet. And that's what Reagan Knope did. He's not much better than his turncoat father. And there he is giving an okay to Kim Wallen for endorsing Tobias Reed, the Democrat, when we have Dennis Linthicum to choose from. I just showed you that on the ballot. Dennis Linthicum is running against Tobias Reed. And Dennis Linthicum is, like I said, the gold standard for Republican politicians. So anyone who not only is going to go against Dennis Linthicum, but support a commie like Tobias Reed, she deserves to lose her seat. And the Republicans deserve to learn a lesson that they shouldn't pick such squishy Republicans who are no better than the Democrats we are fighting against. And let's see here. Someone who actually stood up against that endorsement was boy, I'm trying to think of her name, Jen Hemiker from ONRI, Oregon Natural Resources Industries. Oregon Natural Resources Industry, the person who leads that, Jen Hemiker, she came out and she was opposed to Kim Wallen endorsing Reed over Linthicum, and she actually wrote something about it. So I have to give her credit for it. But then you got people like this guy right here, Virgil Osborne. Now, Virgil has a good voting record, but some of the things he says is just, well, asinine, completely asinine. And I'll read this for you. He says, I really post these on these Telegram channels. But in this case, I feel strongly enough about this that it demands a comment. And what he's talking about is this was a comment left on one of the Telegram groups that many of the Republicans are on, who were complaining about Wallen, a Republican, endorsing the candidate, the Democrat candidate for Secretary of State, Tobias Reed. And this is what he said. He says, I spoke to our caucus leader tonight as well as staff. I also messaged back and forth with Kim Wallen yesterday. I will say that her endorsement caught all of us by surprise and nobody communicated it with our leader prior to it coming out. I strongly disagree with her actions as well. Many of us in the caucus are in complete disagreement and disgust with her actions, as well as you should be. That said, this cannot and should not be the reason we lose seats. Here we go. We are close to picking up 2 to 3 seats, and I feel strongly we will hold our existing swing district seats. We need to continue to make sure Republicans get out the vote and take our state back. November 6th will be the time to take this issue to the woodshed for deeper discussions. Rest assured, your caucus is not happy with what has happened. Virgil, that was Virgil Osborne. Virgil, I'm not happy with that statement that you made because I'm tired of you thinking we're going to trust the party establishment, to actually punish Kim Wallen for being a doorknob. She's a traitor. She's a backstabber, Virgil. And Virgil, you should do something about this. And you didn't. You let this stand, and you should be the first person you have an incredibly good voting record. You should be standing against Kim Wallen, and you should be demanding people not vote for her. Don't vote for the Democrat, but sure as hell, don't vote for this backstabbing Republican. And I don't care if we win seats in the House or not. It's not about winning seats. It's about doing the right thing. That's the problem with the Republican Party. They're so concerned, this party first crowd is so concerned with winning seats. They're so concerned with having more Republicans than Democrats that they have lost sight of what is really the priority here. And the priority here is doing the right and moral thing. And if you are opposed to communism, if you are opposed to the broken and sabotaged election system that we have right now, then you should be opposed to Kim Wallen and her endorsement of Tobias Reed, because Tobias Reed is just going to give us what we've already had in the Secretary of State's office, and that's nothing but incompetence. Remember Shamia Fagan? I mean, really, would Wallen come out and endorse Shamia Fagan today? If she was running, would she? I don't know, Virgil, but if she did, I sure as hell you would man up and you would call her out for who she is. She's a traitor. And it doesn't matter. Winning is not always the important thing, because you don't win by putting a squishy Republican in replace of a Democrat, because they're two of the same things. A squishy Republican who has a voting record that's just as bad as a Democrat is a Democrat. I don't know what the hell is the matter with you damn Republicans, you party first Republicans who've lost all morality. It's infuriating, and it's why the party is going to fall. The party is going to fall apart. It's going to fail. And the reason why is because of statements like this from Virgil. I would have had so much more respect for you, Virgil, if you would have came out and you would have said, it's better not to vote for her. Don't vote for the Democrat, but don't vote for Kim Wallen. She is someone who she's pretending to be something that she's not. And we should have the morality and the fortitude to stand up against Republicans like that. And if you can't, then, well, I guess we're going to get what we deserve. And Kim Wallen's probably more than likely going to win that seat. But I'll tell you right now, if she doesn't, it's going to be, well, to no fault of her own, because, well, she's a backstabber. She's no better than the Democrat who is running against her. And so, just to show you, I don't just target Republicans. Here is in District 5, in U.S. Congressional District 5, that's the one where DeReamer is running. She has a libertarian candidate that I've had on the show. I do support this libertarian candidate. Her name is Sonia Fritesh. Fritesh. And she's one of those, Fine-Tesh or Fine-Tech. I'm sorry, Sonia Fine-Tech. I knew that didn't sound right. She's all about freedom. So I was putting the word freedom and joining it with her last name and calling her Fritesh. But no, her name is Fine-Tesh. I'm totally supporting Sonia Fine-Tesh. But the fact is that the Democrats out there trying to sabotage the Republican by sending out these flyers trying to convince people, or not really convince people, but to allow people to think that this is coming from the Libertarian Party or from Fine-Tesh's campaign. And it's not. This is coming from a PAC, which is supported by the Democrat Party. And they're putting out this stuff so that they can get more Republicans to vote for Fine-Tech against DeReamer. And I would, if I was in the 5th district, I know I have a libertarian candidate here in the 4th district where we have Monique Despain running. And I voted for Monique Despain, but if the libertarian was better, I would have voted for him. But in the case of the 5th district, Sonia Fine-Tesh, she's a much better candidate, and I would support her over DeReamer, because DeReamer is just lousy. She's no better than the Democrats. And so, once again, I'm tired of rewarding people for doing the wrong thing. I'm not going to do that anymore. It's like I'm not going to vote for taxes. And this is, once again, the Democrats trying to fool Republicans by posing as libertarians. And so don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. But it does get much worse. I don't know if you guys remember Steve Hamerson. Steve Hamerson is running for the Roseburg City Council. And Steve Hamerson has been on this show. He's a friend of mine. I think he is an absolute genuine person. I think he's someone who is morally sound, has a good moral compass. And yet here we have Republicans attacking Steve Hamerson. This was sent out by the Umpqua Republican women, sent this out calling Steve Hamerson just too extreme. Well, I guess that's exactly what you could say about Donald Trump as well, because Steve Hamerson is an America First Donald Trump supporter, and there's nothing that he supports or is opposed to that's any more extreme than Donald Trump. So once again, you have the establishment, in this case, the Umpqua Republican women, supporting people like the opponents of Steve Hamerson over Steve Hamerson because they think he's too extreme, and they should have just kept their mouths shut. They should have allowed people to make this choice without putting in their 2 cents in. And it's sad that this is happening. And I don't know if you noticed the similarities, but there sure was a lot of similarities between the real Monique Despain, way too extreme. And on the bottom there, you see the pamphlet or the flyer that was sent out about Steve Hamerson, just too extreme. See, that's the way people like to label certain Republicans so that they can get other Republicans not to vote for them. And it's the same trick that the Democrats use. This is the same crap that the Democrats use. And the top one there, you've got the real Monique Despain. That was a Democrat attacking her. And then in the bottom, you got just too extreme, the Republicans attacking Steve Hamerson. And if you notice the News Review, they've got their title in that flyer that was sent out. The News Review, if you don't know, Chris Boyce, who is a county commissioner in Douglas County, his business partner owns the News Review. And Chris Boyce was one of the people who wanted to get rid of Steve Hamerson, who was on the executive committee for the Republican Party in Douglas County. And the reason he wanted to get rid of Steve Hamerson is that he was one of the people who was fighting against David Brock Smith during the primary. And they were all mad at so many of us because we were fighting against David Brock Smith in the primary. We were supporting Todd Vaughn because Todd Vaughn is also a Trump supporter, an American First candidate. And of course, they labeled him as too extreme as well. So this is what we've got here. You've got in the party where you have the Republican Party, certain elements of the Republican Party, attacking people who are what we would call good America First Republicans. And then you've got people like Kim Wallen, who is endorsing people like Tobias Reed. And the only thing these establishment Republicans can say is, well, you got to vote for her because, we don't want to lose any seats. And it's better to have more R's than D's. And it isn't better to have more R's than D's. If the R's are voting like the D's, then you got 2 D's. It's a double D. And you're getting dicked. I can tell you that right now. But this is once again the party establishment doing to one person the opposite of what they're doing for another. You've got Kim Wallen coming out supporting the Democrat party establishment. We're okay with that. But yet you have a Republican coming out against another Republican who is part of the establishment, like David Brock Smith. Well, the establishment, they're going to label you as too extreme. Well, Steve Hamerson has never endorsed a Democrat. He's not endorsing any Democrat candidate. All he is an American First Trump supporting Republican, but they label him too extreme. Yeah, we got problems in the party. We got some serious problems in the party. I mean, when you got people like Wallen who are getting away with endorsing the Democrat for a statewide office over one of the best Republicans. And by the way, Tim Knope, in one of his comments about Dennis Lithicum, he said the reason it was good that Kim Wallen wasn't supporting him was that Dennis Lithicum had a tendency not to support certain other Republicans, and he would challenge the Republicans on the floor of the Senate because he didn't agree with their vote, meaning that he actually stood up for his constituency, and he also called out the Republicans who weren't doing the bidding of their constituency. Dennis Lithicum is someone much like Steve Hamerson. Steve Hamerson and Dennis Lithicum, if they were in the House or the Senate, you would see 2 people who almost had the identical voting record, which is the most optimal voting record for anyone who is a conservative or an objectivist like me who believes that Dennis Linthicum is the gold standard on the voting record. He has an excellent voting record. And then you have people like Knope, Reagan Knope, who's named after Ronald Reagan, by the way, which I think Knope should be worried that he's named after Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan would probably smack the crap out of little Reagan if he knew what Reagan was doing, supporting a Republican and saying it's okay that she's supporting a Democrat, while simultaneously you got the other part of the establishment in the Republican Party going after a fellow Republican because he also went after an establishment candidate. I guess he should have endorsed a Democrat. Maybe they would have supported him then. I don't know. We've got some serious problems in the Republican Party, and if we don't get it fixed, and nothing good has come from it. And like I said, those flyers that came out against Steve Hamerson, they were from the Umpqua Republican women. Well, guess who else they give to? Yeah, if you look at this, there you go. The Umpqua women, they gave a lot of money to David Brock Smith. There's 3,000. They gave him 1,000 if you go down a little bit. And I can tell you right now, it just stinks to high heaven. It just stinks to high heaven when I have to connect all these dots for you. Yeah, I bet many of you didn't realize that the guys that are the person who owns the News Review is the business partner with the county commissioner who also is part of the Republican establishment. Coinky dink or not, I don't know. And one of the best papers in the state comes out of Douglas County, and that's the Beacon. The Liberty Beacon. I think it's David Jakes, who's the publisher of that, who's the owner of that. And it's just sad. I hope David Jakes in the Beacon stands up for Steve Hamerson, because I'll tell you what, it's just absolutely dirty politics that's going on out here. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of party politics. That's why I'm voting for this man right here, Donald J. Trump. I was glad he was the first person on the ballot, and I got to do away with that category right away. I'm voting for him, big supporter of him. I wish there were people in the Republican establishment that had the backbone to go out and endorse Trump and endorse Trump supporters, because they're going after Trump supporters and they're holding up and supporting Republicans who endorse Democrat candidates. And I don't know what to tell you. The party's in a really bad situation. If we don't win seats in this election, the party has nothing but themselves to blame, because they're the ones who have been doing this for a long time. I want to go to the comments real quick, because I got like 31 comments here. Oh, let's go back. None of your business. No more herpes. Yeah, no more taxes, no more herpes. I agree with you, none of your business. Gary, he says, hell no on that levy. I agree with you, Gary. Hell no on the levy. Let's see. The general public won't realize this. Yeah, they won't, and that's sad. The public is being fooled. They really believe that they know, because of the crime that's risen here in the county, they know we have a problem with our criminal system, our justice system. And the county wants them to believe, the locals want them to believe, that if they just give a little bit more money to the county, that system will be fixed. Well, the justice system starts with the state. It starts with the legislature. It actually starts in Washington, D.C. with the feds, but moreover, it's the state legislators and the governor who really has the authority over our justice system. And the justice system has been sabotaged. No matter how much money you give them, yeah, that's not going to change. Let's see. None of your business says, stop trading freedom for supposed security. What part of no do these motherfuckers not understand? They come back at us 6 months after being told a big no. And that really ticks me off. I hope you people understand this. We, the taxpayers, we, the voters, have already told the county, hell no. 60% of us voted during the primary, and we said, hell no, We don't want more taxes. And yet here they are just a few months later asking us the same question. They sound like the kid in the car who keeps going, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Okay, county commissioners, we're there. We're way there. We're over there. And we're not going to pay for it anymore. Let's see. None of your businesses. Voting yes is not going to improve my life whatsoever. It only will load another brick on my back. Vote no. I agree with you. I agree with you. Samantha Frost says good times are coming. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. None of your business. He says, after this, it'll be another measure, then another, all on top of an automatic 3% yearly increase. I know our taxes increase 3% every year, no matter what. And they keep telling us, oh, it's just a small amount. It's just a small wafer thin, sir. It's just a wafer thin. And yeah, don't eat it. You're going to blow. Eventually, you'll eat one too many thin wafers and you're just going to explode. And that's what taxes are. Herpes, taxes, herpes. Do you want more herpes? You want more taxes. Gary says, have you gotten your homeowner's insurance renew bill yet? Mine doubled because Oregon changed the districts in Coos County. I'm now in zone 9 high fire danger. Well, I got news for you, Gary. You know who you can blame for that, Gary? I'll tell you who you can blame. There was this guy, a Republican from District 1, my district, a Republican here in the Senate, who supported a bill. The bill number was SB 762. You can look this up because I know he'll say I'm a liar, but you can look this up. I get all my information from the legislative website and from the Secretary of State's website. And anyone can go look this up. Senate Bill 762 redid that fire district maps. And that's why your property taxes are going up, because they had to redistrict everyone. And some people, a lot of people were moved into high fire danger zones. And now their taxes are being increased because of Senate Bill 762. And you know who that Republican was? Yes, it was douchebag Senator David Brock Smith. He was the sponsor of Senate Bill 762, the fire mapping bill, which increased our insurance. It's just ridiculous, the amount of insurance that's going up because of this mapping bill. And I can guarantee you, he doesn't give a damn. He doesn't care. Why? Because he gets money from guys who own turbine companies. He gets money from San Francisco Democrats. So David Brock Smith doesn't give a damn if you have to pay a little bit more money, because he gets plenty of money. None of your business, he says. New library, no more taxes on property. That's what I say. Screw the library. Screw the library. I'm done with it. I'm tired of paying for these things. And I'll tell you what, that urban renewal districts, they need to go too. They need to shut down these urban renewal agencies. It will take about 10 years to finally get that tax off our bill, because that's how long it will take us to pay the urban renewal debt. But in 10 years, you could take 10% off of our tax bill by eliminating the urban renewal agencies. Wouldn't that be nice? I think so. And then you wouldn't have all that corporate welfare out there. Gary Landry says, homeless, probably trying to sell them. Yeah. Let's see. Samantha says, Tampon Dave forced the taxpayers to pay for this. Well, of course he did. He supported it. And then the Democrats, who love higher taxes, support it as well. It's a mental illness. Yep. You damn right it is. Let's see. Samantha Frost talking about Virgil. Virgil is not about doing the right thing. He spread lies about Dr. Douglas Frank, saying that Dr. Frank said that all Republicans are communists. He didn't say anything like that. Virgil said that? Wow. What the hell is the matter with Virgil? You know, for a guy who has a good voting record, and once again, that's what you look at when you choose a candidate. Are they picking or voting for policies that are beneficial to you? And on most part, Virgil does vote for policies that are good for me. But then he says things like this about Dr. Frank. He says all Republicans are communists. No, Dr. Frank has never said that. If Virgil, I'll tell you what, I would bet a C note. I would challenge Virgil, $100. You find me the place where Dr. Frank said Republicans are communists. All Republicans are communists. You show me that, Virgil. I'll pay you $100. I'm that confident to say that that's bullshit, and I'm calling it. Let's see. Samantha Frost also says that looks a lot like Occupy Democrat. Yes, that's pretty much what it is. They use yellow and black just like that. Yes, they do. Isn't that funny? That whole Steve Hammerson was yellow and black, just like that attack against Monique Despain. Yeah, kind of funny. Coinky Dink? I don't know. And let's see, David just told me today that there were 4 stations that moved into the News Review building. Interesting. That's probably David Jakes you're speaking about. Well, I want to thank you for the comments. That was very interesting. And before I get out of here, I got to remind you that Oregonians against wind turbines, we're still out there and we're still fighting against these things. And I don't care what anyone says, even though the auction has been postponed, temporarily postponed, the timeline is still fixed and it's still ticking away. So you got to vote yes on Measure 6219, vote yes to stop the wind turbines. And if you're in Curry County, you got to vote yes on Measure 8116. That's Measure 8116. That's pretty much all we're pretty much doing now left of the campaign. Now it's up to you guys. You got to vote yes to stop those wind turbines. And I hope you do. And I hope you vote against those taxes. A lot of money being spent here. And no, I didn't have a Friday night rant this past Friday. What can I tell you? I was having a good time. I was out trick-or-treating with my granddaughter. Not that Friday night, but the Saturday morning after, they had a farmer's market where they were allowing kids dressed up in costume and go trick-or-treating. And it poured like nobody's business, and I didn't care. I had a wonderful time. Anytime I get to spend with my granddaughter, it's the best time in the world. I would give up all of this if that meant I could spend all that time with my granddaughter and doing all the fun things that she likes to do, because I'll tell you what, I'm much more interested in her life and her growing up in a better world than I am in this politics. These politics you're just dealing with dirt when you're dealing with politics. It's a dirty business. You got to deal with disgusting people. Most of them, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, are backstabbing snakes, and you can't trust any of them. And it's hard when people ask you, Rob, should I run for office? It's hard because you know that a lot of them are going to run for office and they're going to turn into the douchebags that they themselves complain about. And I see it all the time. I see people run for office saying, we're going to champion private or public property and make sure that everyone always has access. We're going to champion lower taxes. We're going to champion against governor mandates. And then they get into office and all that goes by the wayside. And I don't know, I'm tired of putting people into office that make all these promises during the campaign and then don't deliver when they get into office. And so I really don't like it when my friends go, well, I'm going to run for office because I know more than likely there's a good chance they're going to turn into the people that I'm fighting against. And it's just sad. But I do want to let you know, before I get out of here, I am sponsored by 3H Tree Service. 3H Tree Service can provide all your tree service needs. You got to get rid of some trees. They're disease, they're fire hazard, they're liability. 3H Tree Service can remove them with surgical accuracy. 541-294-1800. They can remove those trees. Amazing. It's amazing what they can do. Go check out their videos on their Facebook page, 3H Tree Service, of the same name, 541-294-1800. Of course, we had Tim from Tom and Gigs. Tom and Gigs, you can find them at 135 South Shoneman for all your automotive needs. If you're in Coos Bay, you need to get your car fixed, take it over to Tom and Gigs. Talk to Tim, and he can take care of that. You can reach him at 541-888-4660. Once again, Tom and Gigs at 541-888-4660. And like I said, they're over at 135 South Shoneman in the Empire neighborhood, behind the car wash. And of course, Herbal Choices, they're my choice for cannabis dispensary. Herbal Choices, if you want to get to an Herbal Choice store, they've got 4 on Highway 101 between Bandon and Reedsport. You can get one in South Bandon. You can hit one of their stores. You can hit one in Coos Bay. You can hit one in Reedsport, and you can also find one in North Bend. They also have a store in Charleston. That's 5 Herbal Choice cannabis stores, and I highly recommend it. They have great people working for them. You can always get service with a smile. They're very informative. They're well-lit parking lots, and I believe they're open 7 days a week now. That's true, 7 days a week, even on Sunday. Your Herbal Choices, you got herbal needs, Herbal Choice can take care of you. And of course, Oregon Firearms Federation, the only no compromise gun group in Oregon. Oregon Firearms Federation still fighting for your Second Amendment rights. We're going to get Kevin Starrett on here and talk about some of the lawsuits that are going on because, well, it's really ramping up and he's got to spend a lot of money on these lawsuits. If you can help him out, I'm sure he'd appreciate it. Go to OregonFirearms.org and find out how, if you're interested in giving money to a group that's truly earnest about fighting for your rights, especially your gun rights, Oregon Firearms Federation is the place to go. OregonFirearms.org. They're not my sponsors, but Bandon Gun Club. I always like to tell everyone about them. If they're in Bandon, you want to hone your pistol skills or shoot at a 5-stand trap, go to bandongunclub.org. If you've got a rifle you want to sight in the telescope, go to Tioga Sports Park. You can find out more at TiogaSportsPark.org. And we will be having a Trump train this Saturday. Meet us at noon right there on Front Street where we met before. And boy, I pity the Democrats who come out and yell at us because we're going to yell back. I have no problem yelling back. And I'm not like one of these elderly Republicans out there. No, I'm not like one of these mild-mannered Christian ladies, one of these church ladies. No, I'm nothing like a church lady. In fact, I'm the opposite of a church lady. I'm rude. I'm insulting. I don't mind getting into your face.
Well, isn't that special?
Yeah, it is special. And I'm glad you agree there, church lady, because I'm not going to put up with someone's crap who wants to get into my face. They want to get into my face. They're going to get a whole new view of life. And I don't care if they're little old women themselves. Little old women have no right to get up in my face either. And we're not going to tolerate that crap. And we're not going to tolerate people trying to bully around our people when we go to rallies. No, that's not going to happen. And if we got to get people security there to haul you off in that case, then that's fine. We're going to do it. And so Trump train, noon, Saturday, Front Street, right next to South Brothers. And we're going to go Trump training around. We'll see how many people come out and yell at us then. I love it. I love when they come out and yell. I feed on their hate. So please join us. It ought to be a really good time. I'm probably going to do the Friday night rant this week, but I don't think I'm going to be doing the regular Rob Taylor report on Monday because I'm going to do an election night special. I've talked to Kevin Starrett. He may make an appearance. I've talked to a couple of other people. I need to call Todd Vaughn. I want him to come on the show for that election night for a few minutes. I'm hoping maybe Ben Edel will get on here. Maybe Steve Hammerson will come on to talk about some of the things that he's been going through. But yeah, I plan on having a lot of people on during election night. I'll be right here in my house checking results, bringing the results to you. It's going to start at 8 o'clock. Next Tuesday, that's next Tuesday on November 5th, I will be on election night talking about the results and having a few people on to discuss their campaigns, what they've been involved with, people from different areas in Oregon, maybe to find out what happened in their community because, you saw the size of my ballot. That was a huge ballot. That was a lot of things to fill out. And I can't know what's going on in every other person's county. So I'm going to get people on from all over Oregon. We're going to talk about that. And it should be a really good time. And so I hope you join us. And, and we'll continue on no matter what happens with the election. I don't care what they do. I don't care who wins. The fight continues. Even if we get all the candidates that we want and all the measures that we want, the ones we want to pass, the ones we don't want to pass, even if we get everything we want, you still have to fight for your freedom. Did you know that? Yeah. Participation. It's all about participating in life. Politics is a part of life. No matter how much you don't want it, no matter how much you don't need it, You can try to ignore politics. Politics, it ain't going to ignore you. So you better do something about it, and I hope you do. And, oh, look, I got one comment. Come to Workman's Bar and Steakhouse on election night. Oh, all right, Samantha, are you buying? Are you buying the booze? I'm just curious. Come to Workman's Bar and Steakhouse on election night. Yeah, that might be a good fun time. I don't know. That's interesting. You know, I could do a live broadcast from there. That would be interesting. Maybe I'll call Samantha. Oregon Outlaw saying peace out. Peace out to you, man. You all take care. Until next week, till next time, you know what I always say? Carry on, Coos County. Carry on.